Welcome, everybody. I am Love Coach Scott Katamas. It's Saturday Night Alive for you, the Global Peace Tribe. And it's April 24th, 2021. Years go by, don't they? It's going to be a really deep and beautiful and an important show tonight as we're exploring death, dying, and we have with us people who have experienced that, people who have actually died, experienced the afterlife, and then come back into their bodies to share their experiences. And we chose this topic for a couple of reasons. Obviously, our world is going through a lot of death right now. A lot of people we know are dying. We're going to honor and acknowledge some of our friends and beloveds who have recently passed later on in the show. Um, and there's also a different type of death going on also. A lot of our old belief systems, ways of being are also changing. So it's a powerful and important topic. And when we were talking about, as we designed this show, as we look at what we want to do, we knew that if we were going to do anything on death and dying, we had to have Dannion Brinkley joining us. And we're very, very grateful that Dannion is with us. Want to welcome, we've already got 100 people in our Zoom room, and I know that we're going to have several hundred joining us. Please let us know your name, where you're from, and it's really great to see that in the chat box. And thank you. I always appreciate John from Norfolk. He's always the first person in, so welcome, John. And welcome all 100 of you. Please let us know where you're from. All right, I am going to put the spotlight on someone I get to call my friend. And I'm going to share a little bit about Dannion, and then I'm going to share a personal story, personal experience about Dannion. But he's a three-time international best-selling author. He was struck by lightning and had this incredible near-death experience. He wrote about it in the best-selling book Saved by the Light, and then kind of a follow-up called At Peace in the Light. And they made a movie out of it. And his books, his tours, his lectures have transformed the consciousness of people around the world. But probably more significant has been the work that he's done through the Twilight Brigade, his compassion in action, where he trains volunteers to be at the bedside of our nation's veterans. He was nominated for the Heart of Hospice Award, and he has done remarkable work helping people. Now, I'm going to share with you a personal story, an experience I had with Dannion. I've had the blessing to work with Dannion many, many times in many different ways. He's been on different television shows that I've produced. And one of those shows, I think it was Strange Universe, we went to a VA hospital in Long Beach. And we're there with our camera crew filming. And there was a young man who was dying. And we interviewed him before he worked with Dannion, and he was terrified, absolutely terrified to die, terrified of death. And really very vulnerable. And he was a young man. He was probably in his late 20s, early 30s. And Dannion very gently said, "May I talk to you for a little bit?" And so we pulled back. So we were still able to see, but we weren't able to hear what was being said. And then Dannion asked this gentleman if they could hug, and they just hugged each other. And this was back in the days when you only had like 20-minute video, film canisters in your video cameras. I remember like, we're getting low on tape, we're getting low on tape. Okay, change tape, change tape. They changed the tape. Finally, after about 30, 35 minutes, Dannion pulls away. The camera pulls in on this young man, and he's weeping. And I came in with my microphone. Said, "I'm not afraid anymore. Heaven's beautiful. Heaven's beautiful. Dannion took me to heaven." It was one of the most extraordinary experiences I've had observing. And certainly it made for great television. And this is the power of Dannion Brinkley. You know, Dannion has gifts, and he has used those gifts in beautiful and wonderful ways. And we are blessed because the next 22 minutes, Dannion is going to share those gifts with us. So, with no further ado, I'm going to remove myself from the spotlight and turn it over to my friend, Dannion Brinkley.
Hey, Scott. I'd like to say welcome everybody to this evening. And I'd like to sincerely be thankful for Scott and Deb for their efforts of putting this on. And I so appreciate them asking me and to me be a part. But tonight is about a subject that is certainly important in our lives. It's about a subject that we now look at, that we are all scared to death of death, except for many of us that will be on this program. I am the least scared of death. Why? I was struck by lightning and dead for 28 minutes. And then the course of that, it took me 2 years to learn to walk and feed myself. And then I had to have open heart surgery because of damage done by being struck by lightning. And that was like 13 years later. 7 years later, I had to have brain surgery because of the drugs they were giving me to keep my heart working. And then 20 years later, I had to have open heart surgery again. So I had 1 death experiences and 3 near death experiences. And after going through open heart surgery 2.5 years ago, 4 days after the open heart surgery at 2 o'clock on a Sunday morning, I went into cardiac arrest, and it took them probably 20 minutes to resuscitate me twice. So this death experience business and this journey from here to the other side, I got it down pat, everybody. Okay, I got it down pat. We're at the changing of a cycle. We're in the beginning of the dawn of a new age. And why I so particularly wanted to be on tonight is there is a full moon on Monday. And this Monday, because it's important, and if you watch this after this Monday, remember, it's important of how we reconnect ourselves to this level of consciousness and its ethereal place. So I'd also like to thank the Rain Man, Dr. Raymond A. Moody Jr. For without Raymond, none of us would have a platform that we could use because he identified what we now call the near-death experience. And he wrote a book called Life After Life. I met Raymond in 1976 at the dawn of the near-death experience era. And it was just a few people who really got behind Raymond and supported him. And most of those people were either academics or people who have had the experience. And I spent the first 20 years of what Raymond was doing, helping him and supporting him. And I just want everybody to stop for a moment and to think about Life After Life and to think about Raymond, because without him, we'd never have here. So for my part, for all of us that's lost someone, let me explain kind of what that is. That's called bereavement. The nature of the human experience is to grieve, but not to the point where it becomes obsessive, like so many people allow it to become obsessive, but to sense the purpose of loss and separation and what comes with that. And then to really look at why, because we have lost it, but heaven has gained it. Which is the more important position to take as we go through this cycle? It's more important that the fact that the job has done and whatever is triggering this with all the information out there, and I'll leave that stuff to Eben. But we have to understand that tonight is about a simple fact that I support, and I know everyone else will support. It's this: nobody dies. It does not happen. And the person that Scott was describing, it's called a shared near-death experience. Those who know the way over there and back, and I have been over there so many times, it's like a comedy routine. But those who've been over there and back so many times understand the nature of what's called densities. Everything has, between every dimension, there are densities. And when you leave this world, you go through each of those densities and like you separate from the layers of who you think you are to become who you really are. But the most important thing is you have not lost anybody. You have not lost them. And that sense of loss cannot become grief. We cannot grieve everybody because there is a divine purpose in everything that we do. And you cannot forget that. We're dawning a new age. We're seeing a new age being born, changes and shifts and a shakeup in a paradigm that's existed since just before the end of World War II. And I believe it goes back to 1864, and it was established in 1871, repositioned in 1913, then at the 1929 in the collapse of the economy, and then re-put back into position in 2008. So I see this transitional period of where we are dawning a new age with this pandemic, which is suspect, but nonetheless, we are great, powerful, and mighty spiritual beings with dignity, direction, and purpose. That is the bottom line. You cannot kill a spiritual being. You can only change the focal point that they have of where they are. So I think that what's so important that you will hear the rest of the evening is some fun, some laughter, a lot of joy, a lot of love coming from every one of these speakers, and a lot of gratitude that those people who have signed on have for Scott and Deborah for doing this every week and pulling people together on a Saturday night to love each other and to hold each other and to embrace each other. But tonight, remember, nobody dies. It will not happen. And you have to lock on that, because when you think you have separated from them, they have no way to get back to contact you. It's not you trying to get to them. A lot of times it's them trying to get back to you to give you a sense of safety and a sense of calm and that they're okay. Okay, and I know this. I have more than 34,000 hours at the bedside with more than 2,000 people. So I have the process pretty down pat. And when a person is in those transitional levels, when they're going from this world to the next, each of those densities they have to pass through. So I can wrap that person in my arms. I can synchronize my breath. When they breathe in, I breathe out. When they breathe out, I breathe in. And we become one in unison. And then I can pull them into me and explore those mystical levels and divine levels of the first stages of the transition. And that's what happened that Scott filmed. I mean, I've gotten pretty good at understanding that we are greater than the physical being trapped in a 5 sense reality. We're spiritual beings. So the next thing that comes when we lose someone, we have to think about this. When a person comes to the end of their life has to be celebrated, not grieved. And when that person is hurting or in transition, you holding on to them or them staying because you need them is not right for us to do. Everybody has a divine time to go. No matter how it's facilitated, it will not happen until it's the right time. And some people finish their work long before they're old. I wish that would have happened for me, but somehow I have to keep trudging along, and I'm really close to finishing what I'm supposed to do. In 1975, I said the battle for the souls of humankind would be fought in healthcare. Well, I thought it was in 93 when Bill gave Hillary the chance to form a national healthcare program. Well, that fell apart. Well, in 2010, when the Affordable Health Care Act went to the Supreme Court, I knew that was the time. Where we live now is in that battle. So what is so important about knowing this is that this sequence of events had probable possibilities for each of us to decide who we were and what we were, either human beings or spiritual beings, because divinity is clogged. When you're afraid of death, which never happens, you block your divine access. And I hate to say this, but a lot of what is occurring right now is happening so that your divine access can be blocked, to pull you outward and to make you afraid. How can you be afraid of something that never happens? You will never die. because there's two things that I celebrate in my life. Number one, you don't die and you don't go to hell. Because if there was hell, I would have gone there. And I have been over there 4 times and I've never been to hell yet. So keep in mind that as you look at what's happening, everybody, it's a test of our will. It's a test of our divine relationship with ourselves and through ourselves to connect to the part of us that is the divine nature. Let me tell you something else too, everybody. It is impossible to separate from the divine. You have never left what you would call heaven. You never left there. I say this as absolute correctness. You have never left heaven. You have to understand that you are barely even here. And I'll say it like this. The basic nature of reality is atoms in the physical form. If you put an atom on an electron microscope, it's 98.9999 something empty space. And molecules are made of atoms. And if you put a molecule under an electron microscope, it's 99.99996% empty space. And molecules make up cells. And your body consists of trillions of cells. So if you put a cell under an electron microscope, it's 99.99999% empty space. So quantum mechanics and quantum physics based on those numbers can prove you are not even here. Think about that for a moment. It's like a video game, but you're not even here. I know that's hard to think about as we deal in grief and loss, but I'm only telling you the truth. I'm only telling you the truth from 45 years of studying this thing we call death. What makes me proud of you who are tuned in is the courage that you are willing to come and look at this and face this in the grief that they are, what is being created for us to function in and exist in, and the fear of something that will never happen. So we have to stop for a moment and think about this. What is the meaning of this life? You know, Dannion, after 45 years of being dead so many times, it's like a, comedy routine. What do you think the meaning of this life is? Well, the panoramic life review pretty well covers that. Think about this. Everybody's going to have a life review. You're going to see your life pass before you in a 360-degree panorama. You'll watch it from a second-person point of view. And then you will literally become every person that you've ever encountered, and you'll feel the direct results of your interaction between you and that person. So what does that tell you? It's a fair and just universe, and nobody gets away with anything. You are responsible for the life you are living here, and you're responsible for the values. So at the end of that, seeing your life pass before you, second person point of view, becoming every person, there is a question, and this is a Dannionism of saying it, but you ask yourself, if God couldn't come today and God had sent you, or the divine force, or whatever you create and call the divine energy, if God couldn't come today and God sent you in the life you just reviewed, what difference did you and God make? Well, it was easy with what I knew in 1975 in the redneck fundamentalist South, being struck by lightning and had never heard of the near-death experience. Religions were ridiculous to me because I couldn't understand what they were talking about and what I was guilty of, what some people in the jungle and what some people in the desert were doing 6,000 years ago, and I was guilty of that. And it was about some little girl trying to get her boyfriend to eat an apple so that he would realize he was naked, and they called it the forbidden fruit. Well, I couldn't understand that. I'm sorry. That stuff just does not ring to me as a place of guilt in my life. So what's the meaning of this life? Practicing being a God. Remember what I'm telling you, everybody. Think about this. If you took and wrote down on a piece of paper everything that you hope and pray that God is, loving, caring, compassionate, protective, all-knowing, all of that stuff. And then think how many times per day you get a chance to be just that. All day, every day. So the meaning and the purpose of this life is to practice being a God. Whether you know it or not, that's an honor. to be chosen to come here at this particular junction in the shift of this dimension's reality, and that you are here. It means that you are a light bearer. And there is nobody better than you to be born now to be here. And you were chosen and you chose to be here because you would be the difference that the divine would make in this life, in this transitional period. I swear to you that this is the truth. And this is 45 years and tens of thousands of hours with thousands of people studying this thing called the near-death experience, the panoramic life review, and watching how and what you do. So for those of us who have people who are still here, let's start today. Let's celebrate their life. I am not they call it a hospice volunteer, but I'm not a hospice volunteer. I'm a celebration of lifer. I want you to know your life had value and it was important, and that your actions and deeds made a difference in somebody's life. And why I chose veterans, because I am a former Marine myself, and I understand to take the oath to protect and defend. And I figured that since that I could honor them by being with them as the Marine Semper Fidelis, ever faithful, I could be with them. And I could help them understand something that I already know a whole lot about. Number one, it will never happen. Number two, people need to know that their life had value and worth. So if you have someone that's in hospice or someone you're going to call, and when you get off this show, you call somebody, or tomorrow you call somebody and let them know that they have value. I think one of the important things to do is ask them what their favorite song is and get them to tell you the story of that song. What that does is open them up to go back to a memory when their life was good, first kiss, first dance, first time in the back of a 57 Chevy. You never know when that first song was heard, but it gives them a place in their life. And for people who are not in transition, do the same thing. Look around at your friends and know that they are the divine difference, that's their job also. And ask them, what difference did the day make for you? The difference the day made for me was I knew I was going to be on this show, and I was going to get a chance to love you guys and to let you see me and to tell you the truth. And as this show unfolds, as each person gives you their perspective, open up your heart and let the major information that you hear in the songs and the music and the presentations, let the major point that you realize as you're listening to discussions of events about something that will never happen. There is only life, and it has forms, densities, and dimensions. And both of those are measured in frequencies and harmonics, where frequencies and harmonics come together. Toning. Most of you who don't know me know I'm really perceptive because I can listen to the sound of your voice. Everybody's voice has a certain mantra, a sound to it. And then I listen to the conjugation of a verb, which tells me action and intent. And I can literally become you. So once you realize that you don't die and you're a divine spiritual being, great, powerful, and mighty, and you were chosen because nobody is more perfect to you than you to be born where you are, and that you came here to be the divine difference and to keep the light lit and to not be afraid and let nothing terrify you or scare you, but breathe deeply, open your heart, and be the difference in the lives of the people around you to support and empower them to not be afraid of something that never happens. That is the power that is crushing the spiritual identity of ourselves, this fear of going home, this fear of being released from this obligation, not by your choice, but by some illness or some problem that a person has and they're not taking as good a care of themselves, or something that could be genetic. But what you do is you celebrate everybody's life. You love them, and you keep your heart open. And remember, if the divine could not come today and the divine sent you, then what difference today are you and the divine make? I love you and I appreciate you. I want you to know that, and I'm glad to be here on Saturday night. And thank you for all that little stuff I see going across the screen, Scott, so I can look at what people are saying. And I want everybody to know that I love them back. Scott?
Oh, thank you so much, Dannion. And actually, we got about 2 minutes left. Um, so, what? So you made one request was for everybody to reach out to somebody and tell them how meaningful they are. And how about supporting hospice work? How can people contribute to the hospice work that you do?
Well, but right now, Scott, right now it's difficult because here's where we are. We can't get around. It's now starting to open up. But the Twilight Brigade is becoming the transition brigade because I am transforming it into home health care. I created a program in the VA called If You Love Them, Keep Them Home as Long as You Can. Because spending 37 years as a hospice volunteer in 22 VAs in America and training more than 10,000 people to be at the bedside and recruiting hundreds of thousands of people into hospice, when you can get back to the bedside, come back to the Twilight Brigade, which will be the transition brigade, and pay attention to your own health care, everybody. Take better care of yourself. Don't depend on the medical system. It will save your life, but it's the quality of your life of how you eat and what you do to take care, because processed foods and poison water and terrible gene therapies and all the things that's happening is to block us from touching our divine self. The overall purpose of where we are now is to create a place that makes us so afraid of our divine self, which tells you death does not exist. My divine self tells me that is the most ridiculous thought that you can have, to think that there is something, that this physical body goes away and that I go away with it. That's all crazy, Scott. That's all crazy. So my point is this: take care of yourself, and the divine will guide you where you're supposed to go. You meditate, pay attention to your breathing, everybody. Find a couple of minutes per day to stop and meditate so that you can keep that source connected to you. And remember, I love you with all my heart. And Scott and Deb, I appreciate the two of you so very much. And if I was a how'd I'd be hugging you and kissing you, and it'd be worse than a puppy.
Well, we look forward to when we're going to be able to do that soon. Thank you so much, Dannion. We love you very, very much. Thank you. Oh, wow. Let's just all take a breath, taking in the incredible wisdom from Dannion and sending him our love and our blessings. Tonight's such an important show because we are dealing with death and dying, and we're going to be hearing from people who have experienced it. And as our beloved brother Dannion just told us, there actually is no death, it's just an illusion. And imagine how how grateful I am and we are to have people like Dannion and Michael Tamura and all the people that you're about to see Deborah's going to introduce who have experienced near-death experience. And we're going to also honor those of us that have lost loved ones. And that's probably almost everybody listening to my voice right now. There's been a lot of death. I'll put it in quotes. So you'll hear that word many times tonight. And we're going to put it in quotes, recognizing that it is the grand illusion. But nevertheless, it still is something that creates a powerful impact on us, especially those of us who are left behind, because we miss our loved ones. We miss the people that are no longer in their physical bodies. And so we're really blessed. Kristin Hoffmann is here. She's going to take us on a pair of musical experiences. And we're going to have an opportunity to actually invite those loved ones that we miss to come into this room, to come in and join us, remembering that we really are multidimensional beings. So tonight we're going to experience that in wonderful and beautiful ways. Now, many of you are watching on Facebook or on our YouTube channels, and that's great. Welcome. And would love to invite you to actually come into our Zoom room with us. We've got well over 300 people in our Zoom room, and we're going to certainly end up at 500 or 600 tonight. So there's still plenty of room for you watching on Facebook or YouTube to come on in and join us. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, and register and come and join us. And it's great because when you're in the Zoom room, it's easier for you to chat with us. You can chat with speakers, the musicians, the magician. Um, Also, once we have your email address, you then are on our email list, of course. And Deborah sends out every Monday a reminder with the replay of this show and how to access all the previous shows we've done. I've lost track. I think we're close to 60 of these shows that we've done. And they're all incredible, and you want to have access to them. So that's one thing. Also, then what happens is on Friday, you'll get a reminder of next week's show with the link. So register, www.globalpeacetribe.com. Register and join us. I also want to take a moment to thank, I'm going to put the spotlight on a few people. I'm going to put the spotlight on my dear friend, Dannion Brinkley, who we just had leading our early Zoom room show. That's another reason you want to register, because in our early Zoom room show, we have special events like the 30-minute experience we just had with Dannion Brinkley. You have the chance to see Dannion at the end of the show. Dannion, we love you. Thank you so much. I also want to put the spotlight on our executive producer, Jay Mayer. You're going to see a lot of videos that Jay has created. Thank you, Jay. He's our executive producer and our video creator extraordinaire. And we have a wonderful sponsor. This is the second show that he's sponsored, and this is Tom Paladino and Scalar Light Technology. Beautiful technology. Many of you have already started to use it. And after tonight, I think all of you are going to want to take advantage of this wonderful offer that Tom provides to us. So thank you, Tom, for being with us and sponsoring our show. And we're going to hear from Tom and learn all about a little bit about his life and a lot about scalar light technology. Most of all, I want to thank all of you for joining us. Please share this out. Share it out on your Facebook groups and pages, because we are continuing to grow and expand, and we love all the people that are joining us. And those of you in the Zoom room, please continue to tell us where you're from. I see we've got people from North Carolina, Florida, Tennessee. Wow, the South is very well represented tonight. Must be because of Dannion, you see, because Dannion, he's a good old Southern boy, so we're doing very well with people in the South. Okay, Washington, Atlanta, Hawaii, Michigan. I love it. San Francisco, Indiana, people from all over the world. I also want to thank Unify. A lot of you are watching us on Unify, and we've really been able to go international through Unify, so thank you. All right, with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host and producing partner, Deborah Giusti, to tell us more about the show.
Thank you, Scott, and welcome everyone to what is now our 57th show that we've done since the lockdown during these highly challenging but very evolutionary times. And this is now our fourth show of the season 5, Time to Thrive. And we have 9 more shows for you through April through June. And again, we thank you so much for your donations when you register. And thank you so much for your donations to our GoFundMe. We do this free to you, and we love and appreciate, and it's very important for you to donate back to us so we can continue to produce these incredible shows for you every Saturday night. And this is going to be another amazing show. Our theme is near-death experiences, tales from the beyond. So what happens when we die? So this is an age-old question that most of us ponder, but now our global humanity having a deep inquiry, and it's more prominent than ever before. And that's because in the last year with our global challenges, we have been continually faced with a potential of our own mortality and witnessed the deaths of a large number of people that have died due to COVID. But what is wonderful is those people who have had near-death experiences. We call them NDE. They can offer a lot of insights and answers to this important journey of crossing to the other side. And not only do they come back with tales, but a lot of times they come back being spiritually reborn, having greater life insight and understanding. And a lot of them have a new purpose and clarity as to why they are here. So tonight we've assembled a really stellar panel and presentation of authors and teachers around that have all had the NDE experience. So we're going to have a very dynamic exploration of this topic. We will also have a powerful journey with Kristin Hoffmann, one of our most popular musical artists, So it's going to be an incredibly fascinating show. And I'd love to introduce the presenters to you now. I want to honor Dannion Brinkley, first of all, who was with us with our pre-show. We're going to show that at the end of the show as well. So if you missed it, stay to the end. He has the author of the New York Times bestseller, Saved by the Light. Thank you, Dannion, for being with us. And we will feature Anita Moorjani. She is a New York Times bestselling author, Dying to Be Me, and her other book, What If This Is Heaven? And we have an incredible audio from her. And we have Dr. Eben Alexander. He's a pioneering scientist and modern thought leader. He acknowledges the consciousness of the universe. He's the author of the New York Times bestseller, Proof of Heaven, The Map of Heaven, and Living in a Mindful Universe. Thank you for being with us, Eben. And we will also have Michael Tamura. She draws from years of intensive training, past life recall, and nightly out-of-body sojourns, and guides thousands to their healing and true purpose. Welcome, Michael. And we have Lisa Garr. She is the host and creator of The Aware Show, which is a transformational radio show about natural health, cutting-edge scientists, personal growth, and spirituality. And she has had her own near-death experience that she's going to share with us. And we have Tom Paladino of Scalar Light Energy. He's a researcher, humanitarian, seeking to make a difference in the world by providing scalar light healing. And as always, we have incredible music. We are going to have back one of our favorite Saturday Night Alive musicians, Kristin Hoffmann. We love her because of her potent talent, her ability to highlight our theme, and her deep connection with spirit as the source of her music. Welcome, Kristin. And we also have another amazing musician, SriKala. He has a deep connection to the oscillations of sound vibrations with mantra music meditation and sound healing frequencies. And in our after show, we'll be featuring Ben Carroll. He is a former full-time touring musician, universal recording artist, but now he's a gifted intuitive sound healer and worker. And we have back one of our favorite magicians, Sean Jay. He is also featured on Fox, ABC, NBC, Masters of Illusion, CW Network, and the TEDx stage. Welcome, Sean. And I want to again acknowledge our sponsor, Tom Paladino, with Scalar Light Healing Energy. Einstein said that the future of medicine is frequency medicine. And part of creating this new world now is being able to experience the new healing technologies that have been available. Experience in quantum healing have been blocked a lot from the mainstream, but are now really coming to the surface and allowed to be available. And Tom is one of those pioneers who's pioneered scalar light healing. He has a lot of wisdom to share that he's going to be sharing during the show. Also, he's going to be giving SNA viewers a free 30-day experience of scalar light healing. So I'm going to be posting that link in the chat box of everything. It's also going to be in all our emails that will come out in the next week. So thank you so much for Tom. We look forward to hearing from you. And also we're going to be posting our GoFundMe in the chat room. So if for some reason you're on a broadcast channel or you're viewing with a friend and you'd like to support this, we'd love your green love with our GoFundMe. This really helps us to up our production and keep going. And you can always go to GoFundMe and type in globalpeacetribe.com, ping us some green love, and we just love that. It really keeps us going. So thank you so much. We always start with incredible music to raise the frequency, and it keeps building from there. And so Scott, I think you're going to be introducing an amazing artist here.
Now we have Kristin Hoffmann, who is going to provide an amazing song. But we want to start by inviting all of you to really connect in. And we want to acknowledge those loved ones that are no longer in their body, those that have passed on. And we want to invite them into our world, into Saturday Night Alive, into this container. And I'm going to start by showing photographs of 6 people who have recently left their bodies. 4 of them are friends of the Global Peace Tribe, and two of them are more well-known celebrities. And then I'm going to turn it over to Kristin. But and as I show these pictures, we take a look at these beloveds. I'm sure some of them are going to be people you know. Uh, this is David Robinette, and this photo was taken 2 hours before he died. He was with his girlfriend. They were having a beautiful day at the beach. She said that he had said, "This was one of the most beautiful days of my life." And they went to a restaurant. And while they were in the car waiting to park, he had a heart attack and died. And David was somebody that we love very, very much. And what an amazing experience to see a photograph of someone so shortly before they pass. This is Martin Masters, a dear friend of Deborah Justy's. A lot of you knew him. He lived in the Bay Area and then finished out his years in Mexico. This is Sandra Ray, and she was on Saturday Night Live. She's been on our show speaking, and she was the founder of Earth Dance. And during tonight's after show, I'm going to play a song that she wrote. And this is Washboard Sid. I did not know him, but he was introduced to us during the Fantuzzi concert recently, and he recently passed. So blessings to you, Washboard Sid. Called Washboard Sid because he loved to play the washboard. And a pair of celebrities I want to acknowledge. I'm a big baseball fan, and Henry Aaron was quite a gentleman. He was a very special man, not just a great baseball player, but he endured a tremendous amount of racial intolerance because he broke one of baseball's hallowed records, the home run record by Babe Ruth. And he played in Atlanta. He went through a lot, and he always maintained his dignity. And he was an extraordinary man as well as a great ball player. And the last person we want to acknowledge, I'm sure, is someone we all know, beautiful, beloved Ram Dass. And I love these images. You get to see him when he was a Harvard professor. And then, of course, he left Harvard and became really introduced the world to LSD and hallucinogenic journeys. And then, of course, he went to India where he met his beloved Neem Karoli Baba and wrote Be Here Now and wrote so many best-selling books and was such a wonderful inspiration for so many of us. I was very blessed to get to know Ram Dass personally. We helped create a camp together. I spent time with him, both in Marin and then in his later years in Maui. And so just acknowledging those and again, inviting all of you to remember. And if you want to put into the chat box any of the names of beloveds that you want to bring into our container here, that's you're absolutely welcome to do so. And I'm really honored that I get to turn it over to Kristin Hoffmann. She is, as Deborah said, one of our absolute favorite musicians. She brings so much to our world. She's a Juilliard-trained singer, songwriter, musician, and as you're about to see, she has extraordinary artistic range and such a big heart. Her music has been heard on almost all the major record labels, film, television, and she's performed all over the world, collaborating with musical luminaries on projects ranging from individual albums to grand symphonic productions. But beyond all these amazing things she's accomplished, she is so dedicated to the earth. She is a constant blogger. She's written music. Her song for the ocean was performed in front of 800 Australian children at the Sydney Opera House. And it goes on and on and on. She's traveled the world bringing her musical gifts to help us raise consciousness. And I invite all of us to really drop in. Any of you that are tempted to be on different devices, no more multitasking. Drop in and experience the gift of Kristin Hoffmann.
Thank you so much, Scott. It's such an honor to be here tonight, taking part in one of the most important conversations I think we can have. And that is a conversation about the most important rite of passage that we all go through. And as Dannion was saying, that we transition through. It's a change of density. I love how Dannion was sharing that in the opening pre-show talk. And that is exactly what this song is about that I'm going to share. It is called Shine Down. And I wrote it after a very deep talk about this transition phase with my dear friend Clayton, who I know is watching right now. And soon after we got off the phone, I sat down at my keyboard and this whole song just poured through in one go. I started playing a familiar background that I think you'll recognize, and just boom, the lyrics and the melody, everything came through. And when that happens, I feel that it's a song that is just meant to be here as a message. And I had this full feeling that it was a connection with the other side, with the other densities, and with loved ones who are still here and around us. So shine down, honoring all of those who have transitioned and calling in our beloveds, our beloved ancestors, our family, our past and our future selves. Good night, my friend. All journeys must find an end, but light moves on and dances into other form. So close your eyes, shine down with all your light, and close your eyes. You're carried now in hearts and lives. The letting go, the sweet surrender of the soul. Just trust in love and dive into Creator's arms, and close your eyes, shine down with all your light, and close your eyes. You're carried now in hearts and lives. The mystery is now unfolding, shining down on me. Thank you.
Oh, let's just have a moment of silence. We just think of the beautiful souls that we miss, recognizing that bittersweet. It's bitter that we miss these people, and it's sweet that we do miss them, because it's the love that we shared that connects us. So, Kristin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kristin's going to take us on a beautiful musical journey a little bit later on in the show. But I want to remind everybody that you can get wonderful. She has so many recordings that she's done. So go to kristinhoffman.bandcamp.com. I'm going to spell it. It's Kristin. And then she spells Hoffman with two N's. So it's HOFFMANN.bandcamp.com. That's kristinhoffman.bandcamp.com. And Kristin, thank you so very, very much. And we'll see you very shortly.
See you soon.
All right. Well, to introduce our next presenter, we've got kind of a fun video.
He's been seen on the hit TV show Masters of Illusion on the CW network, Fox TV's Master Chef, ABC News, Fox Morning News, NBC News, and the TEDx stage. An award-winning magician, inspirational speaker, and a man of many diverse talents. Please welcome to the stage. Let him hear your energy and make some noise for Sean J.
Well, here I am. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Holy moly, we got 444 participants. My lucky number, a triple. Just that's a sign of synchronicity, folks. This is a very special show tonight. And Scott, yet again, has given me a challenge. Now, normally, I'm known for comedy and improvisation, but tonight's theme is a little more serious, and I take it very seriously. So I've been working on a piece, a couple pieces actually, just for this show to make it all work, and I think you'll enjoy this. So the ego, it's something that exists in all of us. It's the part of our mind designed to balance the primal desires of the id. It's the other part of our mind. Oftentimes the ego wants to take over, which it does very frequently. There's constant wrestling between the ego and the id. And it causes us to do silly and stupid things. Like, well, just say it causes us to have an inflated sense of self. Causes us to have a holier than thou mentality when the ego, of course, gets out of control. Some ego is healthy. Like I said, everything in balance, everything in moderation. But sometimes our head just gets too big. And that is exactly why I've made, here we go, a little framed here. There we are. This represents a lot of people that you might come across in the world nowadays. Just one big head filled with hot air. Anyway, ego's out of control. We'll get back to that in a second. The ego causes us to think these silly notions that money is the key to happiness. It causes us to think of other things like maybe our head really isn't so big after all. So I thought I'd do a little exercise with this whole ego thing. I'd like to bring up somebody from the gallery view. Let's try somebody. Let's have Eben. Eben, can we unmute Eben? Can we bring Eben up with me here? I'm going to go back to speaker view. Thank you. Very good. You were hoping I would do that? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, well, today is your lucky day, Eben. We're going to get rid of or minimize, just through symbology, a portion of your ego. Perhaps I want you to think of a time in the past where your ego took over and it just made you do something really silly, just something ridiculous. And if you're okay with sharing whatever that thing is, just in like a sentence or two, go ahead and do that. I'll let you think of something real quick. Do you have something?
Gosh, there's so many examples. Where do I start?
Right?
I'm actually having a little trouble. I feel like I've made progress away from my ego in the last few years. So
Great.
difficult to recover, where it dominated and drove me to something absolutely outrageous.
Okay. So is there anything in particular that maybe something silly you did in the past? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so what would that be?
Well, I remember, for example, in college, I used to jump out of airplanes, and
Okay, can't make a mistake there.
well, it was with lots and lots of other people doing these formations, and occasionally I would get in, I'd say a little bit in over my head in terms of who I was jumping with, and maybe I thought I was better than I was. And so my ego was kind of tempting me into things that maybe weren't quite so safe.
Okay, so let's see. I'm going to write jeopardizing your safety.
All right.
And that is a byproduct of the ego getting out of control, right? I just wrote this down really quickly, but it does say jeopardizing safety. So what we're going to do is we're going to just help dissolve that, help get rid of that, because when we get rid of, or when we minimize the ego as it tends to take over, strange and beautiful things can happen. Now, if I were to snap my fingers and have you just call out, just think of a sweet-smelling flower, what would that be?
A gardenia.
A gardenia, very good. And there's probably multiple colors of gardenias, right?
Well, most of the ones I've seen have been white, but I'm sure there are probably other colors.
Okay. Well, the idea is to take something negative and turn it into a positive. To take something lame and dangerous and turn it into something beautiful. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to take this bit of ego right here. I want you to watch. First, we have to minimize it, which I'm doing right now. Just imagine it shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. And then I want you to imagine that it's no longer a heavy problem of the past and that it becomes lighter and lighter and lighter. Are you imagining in your mind? You're imagining. Let's try this for real. Here we go. As it becomes lighter, it starts to feel almost weightless. Almost like It just doesn't even exist. It's not even there. But if we can get rid of that problem entirely, we can transform our life and become a much beautiful human being.
Beautiful.
Just like these beautiful flowers right here. And I want to thank you for taking part in this fun little exercise. I'm Sean J, and I will see you guys a little bit later. And this is my beautiful flower for you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks so much, Scott. We'll see you guys later.
Sean will be back. And just a reminder that if you want to learn more about Sean, you can find out all about him at seanjmagic.com. seanjmagic.com. And how much fun he is. And he will be back. So thank you very much, Sean. We're looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
And actually, to introduce Eben, who's going to be our next presenter, here's Deborah.
Perfect.
Thank you, Scott. Yes, we're going to bring Eben back up again. He is an amazing NDE spokesperson. He was an academic neurosurgeon for over 25 years, which included 15 years at Brigham and Women's Hospital, Children's Hospital, and Harvard Medical School in Boston. And then he experienced a transcendental near-death experience during a week-long coma from a brain infection that completely transformed his worldview. And he's a pioneer in science, a modern thought leader, and he's also the author of the New York Times #1 bestseller, Proof of Heaven, The Map of Heaven and Living in a Mindful Universe. So welcome, Eben, to our show. We're so happy to have you and hear your wisdom and your viewpoint on this important topic.
Well, Deborah and Scott, I'd like to thank both of you for having me on. Certainly the whole Global Peace Tribe. This is a beautiful effort you all have done. I just love what you're doing, bringing this to the world, helping a lot of people. So as people could hear from the introduction, yes, I thought I understood a lot about consciousness as a neurosurgeon. And then I was driven deep into coma back in November 2008. Suddenly, early in the morning, first of all, that I had horrific back pain, then a headache, and then before I knew it, I was having grand mal seizures and I was gone from this world. And in fact, that coma lasted 7 days. It was an extraordinary experience, and it was really one of the greatest blessings of my life, not just recovering from it, but having the whole experience, because to come to see firsthand how consciousness is not produced by the brain, that in fact our souls are very real and eternal and deeply interconnected, was a tremendous gift of my experience. And that is something I spent the 12 years since my coma investigating as a scientist. But it all really began with that beautiful journey. It started in a primitive course on responsive realms, something I call the Earthworm's Eye View. And you can learn a lot more about all that in Proof of Heaven in my book about this. And I was rescued by a slowly spinning light that came with a perfect musical melody that ushered me up into a beautiful, ultra-real gateway valley. And this valley was lush with life, absolutely no signs of death or decay, just beautiful colors beyond the rainbow, sparkling waterfalls into crystal blue ponds, and thousands of beings dancing below us. And when I came back to this world and wrote it all up, I labeled them as souls between lives. And I witnessed all of that as a speck of awareness on a butterfly wing. And I was there among millions of other butterflies, looping and spiraling in these vast formations. The best part about it was I wasn't alone. There was a beautiful young woman there on the butterfly wing with me, and those who've read Proof of Heaven will realize just how crucial she was much later, 4 months after my coma, in helping me to determine the reality of the whole thing. Because to me, going through it all, it seemed way too real to be real. And yet, as I spent the months after my coma reviewing medical records, talking over my doctors, looking through my scans, I came to realize this was an extraordinary event. To have any kind of experience at all should have been impossible, given the documented damage to my neocortex. And yet I had an extraordinary blissful journey through that Gateway Valley with that beautiful guardian angel. And I think the message he had to me was the most fundamental message I was to bring back to this world. It's really a message for all souls. And certainly all of our guests here tonight, I'd like to share that message. You are deeply loved and cherished forever. You have nothing to fear. You are cared for. And that was the kind of essence of that aspect of my journey. But there was so much more to it. In fact, this complete sense of the divine, of that loving, infinitely healing force of God that near-death experiencers going back thousands of years across all belief systems and continents, all religions, come back with a very similar report of a God that's infinitely loving and healing and deeply personal. That to me was one of the biggest shocks of the entire experience, was that I came to realize my very conscious awareness originated in that infinitely loving God force that I came into full contact with at the next level of my journey. Because from that Gateway Valley, many of the things that I learned there and saw there are lots of earth-like features, but also deep and profound spiritual features. Because all the joy and merriment and those souls between lives dancing in the valley down below us was being fueled because up above were these swooping orbs of angelic choirs, spiritual beings that were emanating chants and anthems and hymns that would just thunder through my awareness. And that was when they became a portal to yet a higher level, all the way out to what I call the core, an infinite inky blackness, but filled to overflowing with the divine and healing love of that God force. And coming back from it all, I labeled that that force, that God, Om, because that was the sound I heard in that core realm, in the sanctum sanctorum of the divine. And I was told there that it will teach you many things, but you're not here to stay, you'll be going back. And then in the midst of these many lessons, including a profound vision of how life reviews work. I love how Dannion mentioned them a little while ago. Life reviews are a crucial part of near-death experiences because of what they tell us about the boundaries of self, and that we're really kind of sharing the dreams of the one mind, of that God force. And in a life review, you experience those main teaching points of your life, not from your own perspective, but from the perspective of those around you who were affected by your thoughts and actions. And that's why Karen and I, my life partner and the co-author of my third book, Living in a Mindful Universe, Karen Newell, often in our workshops, we teach that the golden rule to do unto others as you would like done unto you, which is a major part of every major faith and certainly of other non-religious, ethical, and moral systems, is written into the very fabric of the universe in the form of this life review. And you come to realize we are all in this truly together, and that we're never separate from that infinitely loving God force. No matter what the circumstances are when someone approaches death, what you find in the hospice, palliative care, and in terminal care communities is that it's always about love. The same message that Armenian soldier who was killed in battle 2,400 years ago, written about by Plato, when he came back to this world just before they lit the funeral pyre, 2,400 years ago, what he told his fellow soldiers was about that life review, your life flashing before your eyes. But not only that, he said the only important measure is how much love you have managed to share with the world. That is one of the deepest and most profound lessons of my near-death experience. And in the 12 years since that experience, working with scientists around the world to get to a deeper understanding of consciousness, where the reality, not only of the afterlife, but of reincarnation, when you go to, for example, University of Virginia, uvadops.org, more than 2,500 cases of past life memories in children, indicative of reincarnation. And so this whole world of human experience is much grander than I ever envisioned before. And it's being fully supported by the science of consciousness and this growth. But for the world at large and for the individual listeners tonight, for all individual souls and human beings, the true message is a deep and reassuring one. We are all in this together, bound through forces of love. And the more we can make our choices in life, all of our behavior and decisions about how to live each and every day should reflect our knowing of this oneness of connection, that we're all in this together. And that's why near-death experiences are so important. It's not about what happens when I die. It's much more about how do I best live this life? And those lessons and those choices we make every day depend on this deeper understanding of our connections, that it's always about relationships with loved ones. I have met thousands of people who have had not only NDEs, but after-death communications, deathbed visions, profound demonstrations of the reality of our, that it all is about love and relationships with others. We will see our loved ones again. So many people fear that once a loved one has left the physical body. And yet I can assure you, our souls are eternal. Our eternal connections with our loved ones are the very reason the universe exists. And so I think as we work in the scientific community to more deeply understand consciousness and explain the reality of the afterlife and of reincarnation and of this much broader soul journey, it should bring great comfort to all of us. We have tremendous power over our destiny. And this is where we can awaken to the deepest truths of humanity, very comforting. It's inevitable that the materialist view that says that it's birth to death and nothing more, that view is going the way of the dodo. It's going extinct because this new, far more advanced quantum-informed consciousness and realization of the scientific study of consciousness is a reality that is very reassuring and comforting to us all. But never forget that the ultimate binding force of love is what brings such tremendous comfort to us, no matter what the challenges in this life. And we are all truly in this together. Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity to be with you tonight, and I wish great love, comfort, and bliss to all of you. Share this with the world. We're all in this together.
Oh, Eben, just a beautiful, beautiful message. And there's a lot of wonderful ways we can learn more about Eben and learn more from his beautiful message. So I'm actually going to show 3 websites that he has. And the first one is his primary one, and it's his name, ebenalexander.com, E-B-E-N, alexander.com. And there's all sorts of wonderful things there, that 33-day journey. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about living in a mindful universe.
Well, living in a mindful universe is the true proof of heaven. When I wrote the book Proof of Heaven, I would say it's much more a question mark. I was a scientist. I had a profound experience like millions of other human beings have had. And yet how to make sense of it, especially and explain it in my kind of scientific terms. So Living in a Mindful Universe, it was co-written with my life partner, Karen Newell, the co-founder of Sacred Acoustics, which is a meditation platform that I highly recommend. It's something I use tremendously. There's a picture of Karen right there. And Sacred Acoustics, I meditate an hour to a day using Sacred Acoustics binaural beat brainwave entrainment. And it's all about basically reconnecting with my NDE, going deep inside. But the best news from our workshops, we've given hundreds of these workshops around the world, and we've done a lot online since the pandemic started. But the best news is you don't have to have an NDE to know everything I know about this. Meditate, centering prayer, going within. These are the ways that all of us can come to know these deep truths. That 33-day journey at ebenalexander.com is a free course that's now been taken by more than 9,000 people around the world. I highly recommend people go to ebenalexander.com and sign up for that free course. And it offers 33 days of email drip campaign to show you the deep principles of the book, Living in a Mindful Universe, along with a community. People have left all their comments, people from around the world, their experiences, they've helped each other. That 33-day journey is a beautiful offering. And I guess the one other that we would point out here, and I think you have the link for it, kind of parallel to that, is unitedinhopeandhealing.com. That is a series of bi-weekly webinars that Karen and I started more than a year ago with the pandemic. They're all free. We interview some of our colleagues, friends, fellow experiencers, scientists who study consciousness. And I would encourage people to join that. It's free every other week. And we've had fascinating guests. You can go to that site and listen to all the old discussions. But this is really all about sharing this with the world. This deep and profound truth is very liberating. NDEs are the tip of the spear in waking this world up to the power of the soul, our interconnectedness, that we're all sharing the dream of the one mind. We're bound together through love, and that all of our choices moving forward should reflect love, kindness, compassion, caring for others, taking care of the least, the last, and the lost, and especially taking care of yourselves, taking care of that beautiful soul that each and every one of you are, because we're all here together to help each other.
Thank you so much, Eben. God bless you. Really beautiful.
Thank you, and thank you all for having me on. It's been a real joy to be here.
Well, stick around. We've got a lot more good things happening.
Great, I will for a while.
All right. Who knows? You might even get to do some more magic.
Thanks to John for
I understand that in the second act, he makes people disappear. So right now I'm making you disappear. So that's one of the things I get to do. Thank you, Eben. That was great. And I've put into the chat box all three of those links. So you can find the Sacred Acoustics as well as his main website and that beautiful unitedinhopeandhealing.com. So thank you, Eben, for the really beautiful work you're doing. And speaking of beautiful work, I get to now play our first light touch video of the day.
Thank you for blessing everyone watching this with your best blessings for everyone. Blessing, 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 blessings, 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 blessings.
Take it away, Deborah.
Beautiful. And now I get to introduce Michael Tamura. He is someone that lives the miracle. He's been spiritually aware since childhood. He sees you the way you are as immortal souls, and he guides thousands to their healing, awakening, and true purpose. He draws from extensive training in past life recall, nightly out-of-body sojourns, 48 years of teaching and giving clairvoyant counseling, and a lifetime of extraordinary experiences, including returning to death 5 times. Michael and his wife brought the answer, which offers psychic tools, spiritual practices, and golden opportunities for healing, miracles, and fulfillment of one's divine purpose. So thank you, Michael, for coming with us now.
Thank you, Deborah, for inviting me, and Scott, and thanks, Scott, for being the Zoom magician. You could make me disappear if I go too long. But isn't that great? All of you who got a chance to listen to Dr. Eben and Dannion earlier, ditto. Everything they said, I can vouch for personally. There's never been a question for me this life of ever dying. Dying is like exactly like Dannion said earlier. There is no death, not for who we are. The body, yes. And how do I know? Because I was aware before my birth, and I'm aware above my mother trying to get me out and saying, baby, come on, hurry up and get out. So I've been kicked out of the womb. Instead of go back to your womb, I've been kicked out of the womb early on in my life. And ever since, during my childhood, I've had every night I go to sleep in the bed. And as soon as I put myself down on the bed, I'm out of the body. And in the beginning, it was hovering around scenes of accidents, working with both those who passed away, made that transition from the physical world, that level, like Dannion said, the density of this place become lighter, who needed help to continue to go past through as many of those levels as they can at this time. And that the experience of dying is different for everybody because of where you are in your awareness. And it's in a sense, that transitional process is graduation. It's not you end, it's one level of learning ends and you go on to the next level of learning. And as you graduate from that, you can say you die from that too, or you graduate from that and you commence your next level. And just as Dannion mentioned, the 5 densities, once you pass the 5th one, then you're in what we might call cosmic. It's just, there's no limit, there's everything. And there you get to make a choice of whether, are you an individual still, or are you the all, the cosmic? Once you get past that question, then you're in a little bit like Eben introduced, that holy of holies, the inner sanctum, beyond everything, beyond the question of to be or not to be, like Hamlet, to be or not to be. That question starts from the 6th down. But once you get past that, it's beyond being and not being. That question ceases to exist because there is no thing. There's not any division. There's complete healing, and it's not the void of nothingness. It's, again, there's no words to describe it, but it's definitely an incredible holy of holies. Then you can stay there. Or for many of us, we make a choice to come back. The very first time that I died physically, I was in great pain, excruciating pain for weeks on end with no end in sight. And I was very weak on a physical level. And I said, hey, God, I don't know how much longer I can handle this. And boom, I got taken out. I even had an escort of a magnificent angel, an archangel, taking me right onto this council room where I was met by 5 magnificent enlightened beings. And they welcomed me. He says, you're done. You've accomplished way more than you've ever contracted for. So you can stay here with us and continue in spirit, or you can return if you like. So I thought, my chance, I'll ask them in all their combined wisdom, what would serve better? What would benefit not only myself, but everyone concerned in my life and everything? What would benefit more, if I go back or if I stay in spirit and continue? And they said, oh, absolutely, unanimously, instantly. They said, if you go back, you'll benefit so much more. I said, all right, send me back. But when in that space where you're not having to deal with pain and suffering of any sort, it's easy to make that decision. But you come back, and on the way back, I'm going, oh, yeah, you don't even think about a body. It's just an illusion. It's just not real in relationship to who you really are. It's like a smartphone, Okay, it's important. What for? What is this physical, and all the different density of bodies for in our so-called existence? Is for communication. And this is a communication device we use so that we can communicate to the other us. Yeah. I love when they say namaste in Hindi and Sanskrit, of the greeting, the divine light within myself greets the divine light in you. It's the same light. When it's said, when mystics and enlightened masters have said we're all one, it's not bodies are one. No, it's that who we are is one. There's no 2 of us. It's just one. But that oneness expresses itself in all kinds of magnificent creative ways through all those densities, through all the different bodies that end up to be this here. and when we're done with that level of communication, expressing who we are, we put this one down and lay it down, and we exit this body. Yeah. You're alive before you ever came into this body. You're alive after you exit. It's just a temporary vehicle. But as you exit each body, what is the key element of what we call the process of dying, making that transition, making a graceful transition, is letting go, or better known as forgiving. You don't hold on because the past is already past. You've already experienced it. The purpose for that experience is done with. So instead of trying to get over it and find some closure, you just need to, remember, I am a totally creative being. I can create my next new step. I put down the old stuff. Whatever happened, it's done. I'm happy. It's not something that holds me here. I move on, create the new. What would I like to express now? How would I like to communicate? What would I like to share with you? And the sharing is the most important because that starts to take down the barriers between us so that we each can recognize we're the same brilliant, magnificent spirit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. And I just want to let people know how they can learn more about you. And if you can't want to, you can just go to his website, which is his name, Michael Tamura. That's spelled TAMURA.com. And there he is with his beautiful wife, who's actually watching. She's with us right now. In fact, I just so appreciate when we have a spouse with us. So there she is. And you two have created this wonderful Voice on America radio show called Living the Miracle. So thank you both for that. And again, for people to find out more about how to go there, just go to Michael's website, michaeltamura.com. That's where you can get his book, You Are the Answer, and learn all about the radio show and all of his live audio teleclasses, seminars, courses, retreats. Hey, won't it be fun once we can start doing retreats again? I sure am looking forward to that. Definitely. Michael, thank you. And thank you for being with us, and stick around. The show's going to be we've got some really wonderful stuff ahead of us.
All right.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, what do we got next? I get to introduce Tom Paladino. And Tom is our sponsor, and he's also a presenter. So he's doing double duty tonight. And he's the creator of Scalar Light Technology. I know some of you have already been using it. It's a remarkable technology that helps us in many, many ways. And I want to start because I've gotten to know Tom, and he's a beautiful man, a beautiful soul. You can see he's got that kind of angelic countenance, no doubt, an angel who came into human form to help us at this critical time on the planet. Tom, tell us about your vision and your life's work.
Well, my vision really is to be, I think, coalesced in the thoughts and the aspirations of the people that have already spoken on this platform. It's to unite the world. It's to make this a better world. And those who have spoken thus far during this evening, they've shared their thoughts as to how to make this a better world. And the overarching consideration is always love. Love is the great uniter of mankind. That universal force, that unifying force is always love. So I've always modeled my life, my academic career, my scientific work to help people. That's the common denominator, and that's what I see in this platform tonight. We're trying to help people. We're trying to give people this understanding that we're not at this alone, that we are united, and that as a united group, as that spirit of consciousness, we can do so many incredible things. I don't think people give themselves enough credit. I know they don't, but everybody's capable of just extraordinary accomplishments. Anybody can change the world, and you do it just one day at a time, one person at a time. So what I love about this platform, and again, kudos to all of you, is that all of you resonate with this concept of trying to help, making this a better world. It's cooperation. There's too much competition in the world. We need a world that will unite. We need a world that will experience cooperation and not competition.
You're absolutely right. And so you've created, and I'm imagining kind of channeled, this remarkable scalar light technology. And I'm bringing up the photograph, and we're going to learn a little bit more later on in the show about how it works, but we definitely want to get people started. So tell us what I'm looking at. And I know that if you're offering a free 30-day trial, tell us a little bit about that. What is this technology, and what are we offering people tonight?
That's a Tesla instrument, or perhaps it's a consciousness instrument. I don't work with electricity. I work with a different spectrum, a different dimension, which is scalar energy or 0-point energy. So that instrument, that's a custom built instrument, and that allows me to enter into that realm of consciousness, that realm of the 0-point energy field. And in so doing, I have the ability to perform incredible feats that I could not perform with an electromagnetic instrument. So I am a scientist. I do work with scalar energy instruments, and that, if you will, that's a consciousness instrument that allows me to balance the 7 chakras, or that allows me to, say, identify a toxin or a pathogen and then eradicate that toxin or pathogen.
Beautiful. And tell us about the 30-day offer so people can start signing up for it. And Deborah is putting into the chat box the link where he's offering a free 30-day. So tell us a little bit about that, Tom.
Like, again, pursuant to my design to be a humanitarian and to unite the world, we offer everybody in the world free sessions. How do we do that? By way of your photograph. So this instrument, this consciousness instrument, or this Holy of Holies, as Michael announced, is an instrument that works remotely by way of your photograph. Your photograph contains your quantum field. So I don't work with people in person. I work with people exclusively by way of their photograph. And I actually take your photograph, you email us your photograph, and I place it inside that instrument, which is the Holy of Holies. Or it's a consciousness instrument. And I connect with you by way of your quantum field, all by way of your photograph. Deborah's provided the link that anybody can upload their photograph. Just email us your photograph.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And for anybody who's listening and can't see the link, I'll read it to you. I'm going to come on in here. It's really simple. It's SNA, Saturday Night Live, sna.scalarlight.com. So again, go to sna.scalarlight.com. That will take you to his website. And I'm going to pull it up so we can all see. Those of you that are visual. This is where it'll take you. And that's where you enter your name, your address. You can put yourself in, or even a pet. And so just give him your photograph, fill out this very simple little form, and get the healing and the magic started. And Tom, thank you so much for just your gifts to our world. And we're going to talk to Tom a little bit later on in the show.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we do just like one show after another. It's pretty amazing. And there's a lot going on backstage. I got to tell you, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, we got to take care of this, that, and the other thing. But we pull it off. We're blessed to have a great team. And I want to thank Jay and Jan. They do so much, including creating the video we're about to see, all about next week's show, which they are the producers of. So let's see what we're doing next week.
Light Touch welcomes you to next week's Saturday Night Alive. May 1st, Indigenous Wisdom Rising, connection and collaboration across the globe. Returning Luminary, Chief Phil Lane Jr., and Grandmother Flor de Mayo, a Mayan seed keeper. Sergio Magana, a Toltec wisdom keeper. And great-grandmother Moetu Teha from New Zealand. And featuring Uncle Lewis Walker from Australia. Dr. Anne Polina, a water keeper from Australia. We're proud to welcome back Pura Fay, Native American activist and award-winning musician, and Sister Stone, an Indigenous rights activist. Join us on May 1st when we travel across the globe for our 5th Indigenous Wisdom Show.
Yes, we've done 5 of those topics now, the Indigenous Wisdom, all brought to you by Jay Mayer and Jan Kaplan, and they're all amazing. And this one is going to be very special because we are drawing people in from all over the world. And that's really what this is about now. This, the lemonade from this pandemic is having us connecting all over the world and collaborating at such high levels. The reason why we can bring you so many incredible shows each week is we have high-level collaborations with so many people. And I'd like to ask your help too. I'd love for you to share Global Peace Tribe shows with your friends and family, because it's really word of mouth that really helps spread the word. So I'm going to post one of our trailers, our really incredible promotional video that will show what it's all about, that you can share on your Facebook or email with your friends, and the link to sign up. So I'd love to request that you spread the word. Also, another way that you can help is you can pay it forward. I'm going to put a link in the chat room where you can actually give a gift subscription to anyone you love and give this light and this love. And of course, they don't have to be there on Saturday night, which it's great to be here, but the replays live forever. So they will get information on all the replays as soon as they happen. And now we'd like to share a little bit about the rest of the new season. We've got 9 shows left. On May 8th, the theme is going to be Sacred Magic, the integration of divine feminine and masculine. And is that so important right now? We're going to have incredible speakers like Gay and Katie Hendricks, Ariel Ford, Matthew Fox, Richard Parisi, Grateful Bear with the God Cards, Destin Garrick, and Twin Ray Flames, Sananda and Shakina. We'll have music by Honey of the Heart and Maria Stark and Fajun. And May 15th, we have an ongoing collaboration with Global Coherence Pulse with Teresa Collins. She will be bringing in Bruce Lipton, Chris Decker of Uplift, Claudia Weiss of Ions, Elijah Parker, Gary Malkin, and many others. And we also have some other special shows coming. Do you want to share about May 22nd, Scott?
Yeah, that's when we're going to be tackling one of the most important topics that unfortunately almost all of us are dealing with, either ourselves or our friends: addiction, recovery, and suicide prevention. And it's actually going to be all weekend. We're doing, of course, Saturday Night Live. We're also doing special shows Friday night and Sunday morning, providing experts that are going to bring you the best steps and tools for dealing with these very difficult issues. On May 29th, our good friend Mark Sims comes back, and he's bringing Whitley Strieber and others with him as we celebrate making contact with our galactic family. It's happening more and more each and every day. On June 5th, Lori Grace is sponsoring a very important show on brain fitness, how it can optimize our entire life. And a really fun show on June 12th. We're going to be celebrating the 60s. Deborah is doing an amazing job of lining up some remarkable musical artists from that time. And we're going to be celebrating how the spirit of the Beatles, the spirit of Ram Dass, the wisdom has really impacted us and really created the rise of where we are now, the Aquarian Age. On June 19th, it's every quarter we do something to celebrate the equinox or the solstice, and we've got Matt Kahn and others lined up for that show. And finally, on June 26th, it's a collaboration of Jerry Anderson and Jay and Light Touch coming together to sponsor a show on Indigenous and spiritual wisdom, building a harmonious future. We're also going to bring in some of our favorite spiritual teachers. So it's going to be a wonderful way to conclude the season. So please, as Deborah said, register and share it, pay it forward. Let's continue to build our global peace tribe. And I want to just acknowledge that we are very close to cracking 500 in our Zoom room tonight, which is kind of fun. And continue to invite people. And one last invitation, if you are still out there watching us on Facebook, on Unify, or on YouTube, you can still come into our Zoom room. We got a lot of show left. And just go to globalpeacetribe.com, register. That gets you in for the whole rest of the season, and we'll get you into our Zoom room right now. So please, please join us. And to share about what we've got next, I'm going to turn it over to Deborah.
Thank you, Scott. So now we have an incredible woman who does a lot like we do, getting the positive word out. Lisa Garr is the host and creator of The Aware Show, which is a transformational radio show about health, cutting-edge science, personal growth, and spirituality since 1999. And she reaches over 40 million on free speech TV, US television households. And she has a podcast with over 100,000 downloads. So, and she's also had some personal experience around this. So we've been wanting to have her on the show because she's a major networker and aligned with all these topics, but also on this show because she really has something to say about it. So Lisa, so great to have you on the show. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to watch all of this. And I so appreciate what you and Scott are doing in the back end, having produced close to 5,000 shows myself. I get it. And in this whole virtual world that we've moved into with the virtual technologies, good job, both of you. This is seamless and a lot of hard work, and I so see it. So thank you very much for all of us to have this great experience. And I find it so incredibly fascinating. Every single one of us who have had this near-death experience, we have these very similar lenses that we look through. And we don't know each other. We didn't prior to these experiences. We haven't collaborated on our answers, yet we've all had the same experience. Raymond Moody has interviewed tens of thousands of near-death experiencers with the same experiences. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, there are themes that we can learn from each other. And I highly do not recommend you go and die to figure this out. Just not highly recommended. You can tap into this energy because it is available to every single one of us. We just happen to have been the warriors that crossed over to come back and tell you all about it because it's such a beautiful experience. And as I'd love to someday have a panel with all of us talking, because to actually talk with each other amidst our community here to share some of these things, because we have all explained that there is another realm, dimension, life, world that exists simultaneous to this one. It exists right now, in this very second, in every second. It's accessible to every single one of us. It's a dimension that creates interconnectedness. It creates incredible love. It allows us to understand the beautiful power of manifestation, not being outside of us, but being right here at this moment. It allows us to connect with those who have left the physical body and exist in this realm all the time by summoning their name. I love that we put our names earlier in of the ones that we who have crossed over so that we can recall them. And the more energy we bring to recalling them, the more their frequency matches with us. We've learned that by hitting this realm or dimension that we connect instantly with our purpose, that it's something we can't not do, and that we have to fulfill that purpose. It's not just limited to us that have crossed over. It's every single one of us that are able to connect to that deep desired purpose in our lives. It's our stories, it's our birthright, it's why we're here. I do story coaching with people, and when I see them wake up to their story for the first time, it's like they had an NDE. It's like their entire life just comes rushing up to that moment, and it rewires their entire being. And it's such proof. I mean, proof of heaven is what Eben talks about, that we have this ability to connect with each other on a different level at all times. And I happened to have fallen off my bike to get into destroying my brain and disconnecting my ability to speak in order for me to actually find my true voice. And in that, I empower others to do the same. I found my voice so others can find theirs. I have brilliant thought leaders on my shows that talk about their experiences, and I have deep connections with listeners and with people who watch the shows, that as I emanate this frequency of this NDE and this experience that I had and that Eben and everyone else has had, I bring you into that frequency through my voice, through my interviews, through my awareness, and that shakes and shifts your frequency as well, as you align to what it is that you're hearing on my shows, or what it is that you're experiencing as a result of any information that's being shared. So I invite you all into not just thinking that it's someone else who had an NDE to listen to what they're experiencing. I want you to hear what we're all saying about these very, very common themes that we have the access to at any time. Tom talking about the light and the scalar light. It's accessible to all of us. The music, the frequencies that come through our beautiful musical guests, it's accessible to all of us. We just need to tap into that frequency and own it and enjoy it and become it. Now, we've all experienced those lower frequencies, those survivalistic frequencies. A lot of that is happening now, where we're in that place of fear or addiction to the news, or something that shows us that if we don't do this, then this won't happen. And those frequencies were not the frequencies that we share when we talk about our near-death experiences. Those frequencies of fear and jealousy and self-criticism and judgment and negativity did not happen in our near-death, our experiences that we share of that, because those are not the frequencies of creation. The ones that we do experience and have shared with you rise above those frequencies. And I invite you all to recognize when you hit those lower frequencies, and when you hit that fear and that survival and that self-criticism and that judgment and those mental demons that come up. When you look at those, they're the absence of what we're talking about. They're the absence of that access to manifestation of all that is, to interconnection of all and all that we love, to the ability to travel to different dimensions that are around us at all times. And, I also host a show called Coast to Coast AM, and on Coast to Coast, there's tribes. I mean, that's why that show is so amazingly popular, is because of the tribes of people that listen to the show that feel like they have like-minded people that listen as well, that have had these experiences of other dimensions. I mean, it is just absolutely phenomenal what we're here at this time on this planet to experience together. And in a way, all of us connected, the 444, now 477 people that are here right now, and all that will be listening to this in the future, we are all connected. We are all here connecting on a certain frequency, a heartbeat, a sound, a resonance, an idea, love. That's what we're here connecting right now. We can feel that experience of all of us being on the head of a pin together, because it's exactly what it is. That level of connection brings us all together in our hearts in this moment. I feel you. I love you. I thank you. And I invite you just to stay in this place as often as you can.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
beautiful, Lisa.
Mm.
I was on Lisa's show many, many years ago,
Mhm.
and I so appreciate all the years you've been doing this. Hundreds of shows, thousands of guests, gazillions listeners. Thank you, Lisa, so much for your amazing work.
I can't not do it.
I know,
You
Deborah.
know.
We're like, another season. It just keeps going.
The universe keeps showing up for you too.
It
Mhm.
does, absolutely. I want to share a couple things. Again, the Aware Show with Lisa Garr, and there's so many ways that you can work with her. And I'm going to show you in a moment because she does coaching. But definitely check out the Aware Show. And I want to encourage people to get coaching from you. So tell us a little bit about this.
It's story coaching. It's finding your purpose. And a lot of people have shifted their purpose during this last year to, we've changed so much and our universe has changed so much that we really can't fit back into those old holes that we were trying to fit into. So waking up to your story, that true story that you have within you, will really help you shape your purpose. And when you wake up to your story, your purpose reveals itself. And then you automatically become a frequency for what it is that you want to attract in the world. People have created entire businesses, enhanced practices, found like-minded communities. It's enormous what I've seen people create when they get in touch with their purpose. And because I've been doing this for 20 years, I'm able to hear your story differently than most people can. And I can tune into it so fast. And I can tell you what that means for you to be able to go forward in the world with it. And that I am empowering every single other person to help others, because we're all a part of this incredible tribe and we're really needed right now. So I'm empowering a lot of other people to be a part of this tribe.
Oh, thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Well, Deborah's putting into the chat box how to reach you, and big
Yes.
cyber hug. Big cyber hug.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon, Lisa.
Okay.
All right. It is time. One of the things that Jay and Janet brought to us is every week now we have our wisdom jewel, which is where they take the theme of the week and they find some really wonderful quotes. So it is time for tonight's wisdom jewel. Let's see what quotes they've chosen. Well, thank you. I'm going to put the spotlight. There's Jan, and here's Jay. And I want to thank you for the beautiful videos that you create and for all that you do with light touch. When people often ask me what light touch is, it's a wonderful way to connect to our bodies, to connect to our hearts, to pray, to do affirmations. We have light touch groups that gather every morning. We send each other videos and little GIFs and photos in the evenings. It's a really wonderful thing. So thank you so much, Jay and Jan, for bringing light touch into our world and to Saturday Night Live. And for the wonderful videos that they do. They do a great job with their videos. Really, really fun. All right. Well, we are ready for another experience. And once again, like I said before, any of you that are tempted to be multitasking, put it away, put it down, and I invite you to really get ready to drop into an incredible journey. It's going to be with Kristin Hoffmann again. She is so exquisite. And so I invite you to really drop on into our hearts. And thank you, Kristin, for being here. And I know that this is a topic that's meaningful to you. And I'm so glad that we get to have your talents and all that you bring to us.
Thank you so much, Scott. Yes, years ago, I actually got a very clear message that in this life I would be using music as a vehicle to help help those who are transitioning. And I took one of the first end-of-life doula classes with Henry Fursko Weiss that was being offered at the Open Center years ago. And I never knew at that time that the first person I would work with who was transitioning would be my mother. But it was the greatest gift ever that I took that course because my mother was so interested in the fact that I wanted to learn more. And we had these beautiful conversations about what she wanted to experience and how she wanted the scene set and what she wanted her passing to be like. So when it actually came to be, I was able to hold that space for her and help my dad to be present. And we just created this incredible space for 3 days as my mother left her body. And since that day, I feel even more called to use music as the powerful vehicle that it is to tap into this important conversation and help us connect in the highest vibration possible and let go of the fear. So let's do that. I'm going to share an improvisational style which I call Soul-Om. And I spell it S-O-L, so it's light, soul, and then a tilde, and Om, the vibration of the universe. And they're literally weaving together. And this piece, it's unwritten. I like to think that we are all tapping in with our conscious intention, sending our love, sending our vision forward, and I will tune to everyone sending their messages and be the vehicle to bring through the music, bring through the harmonies, the chorus, whatever wants to come through. Okay, so just in preparation, let's take one deep breath together, and on our exhale, let's exhale anything that is no longer serving us. Let's breathe ourselves into this moment, into this light, and then we're going to exhale anything that we no longer need to carry. So here we go. Close your eyes and inhale, inhale. Hold and feel that light moving through your body. Feel your heartbeat. Give thanks for this life inside you. And exhale, exhale. May I be a vehicle for our highest collective intention and divine awareness.
Deepest truth.
this oneness, love.
Exquisite music is like, I just close my eyes and imagine what it's like to leave the earth world, to leave this dream world and reconnect with loved ones. It's such a beautiful journey. It's kind of hard to talk right now. But I need to talk because I do want to share a couple of important things. Again, I want to remind people that she has a lot of recordings available on Bandcamp. So you go to her name, Kristin Hoffman, 2 N's, kristinhoffman.bandcamp.com. And that's where you'll find a lot of amazing recordings. But I also am really proud to announce that, Global Peace Tribe is expanding into special events. And recently we had Cornflower and Kristin on the show, and people said, what would it be like if they did something together? And so we talked about it, and I'm really proud to announce Global Peace Tribe presents a sonic source activation with Kristin Hoffman and Cornflower. Experience your own creative awakening. And Kristin, tell us a little bit about, this is by the way, going to be on June the 6th. So it's easy to remember, 6/6, June 6th, from 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock Pacific time, 4 till 6 East Coast. And Kristin, tell us a little bit about what's going to happen.
Yes, we are so excited. This is going to be a 2-hour opportunity to use music as the creative vehicle that it is. Cornflower and I are going to be doing a lot of our improvisational music and sharing some stories from our own life of how we overcame our own adversity and got in touch with our flow, our creative flow. And while we are going into our deep dive musical experiences, we are going to open up for you all to share to tap into your creative expression in different ways. First is going to be meditation and visioning. The next exercise will be free flow drawing, or whatever you like to do, doodle, draw, paint, whatever you have at home while Cornflower is playing. And then for my next piece, we are going to dive into free flow writing and just see what comes out. And for the last piece that Cornflower offers, we are going to dive into movement and ecstatic dance. So it's just going to be this incredible 2 hours where you get to tune into your own creativity and feel yourself come alive. So please come join us.
Oh, thank you, Kristin. It's going to be, I can't wait. I really can't wait. And we're going to see Kristin again. She's going to be on our May 15th show, our collaboration with Teresa Collins. So we get you in April, we get a little of you in May, we get a little of you in June. So thank you so much, Kristin. You bring so much to our world, so much.
Thank you. And Scott, will you put the registration link in the
chat
for everyone?
Yeah, actually, perfect. Deborah's been doing that. Yeah, Deborah's been putting the registration link in the chat.
Yes, so, please come join us. Thank you, Scott.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kristin. All right. Well, it is time for some magic. And to introduce our magician, here's Deborah.
And we've definitely had magic tonight, and we're going to have a whole nother level of it again with Sean Jay. We just love him. He's been seen on Fox, ABC, NBC. He is a true professional. He's studied with all the greats, and he always comes up with really special tricks for us. So Sean, great to have you back.
Yes, thank you for having me back again on this program. I've prepared for you all tonight a story involving life, death, and fire. Yes, that's true. It's also a true story. And in order for me to share this story, if it's okay with you, Scott, you mind if I share my screen really quick? I just have a couple of
go for it. Go for it.
Me illustrate this story. So here we go. Just there we are. Excellent. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire in the Greenwich Village neighborhood of Manhattan, New York City, on March 25th, 1911. It was the deadliest industrial disaster in the history of the city, and one of the deadliest in U.S. history. The fire caused the deaths of 146 garment workers, 123 women and girls, and 23 men, who died from the fire, smoke inhalation, or falling, jumping to their deaths. Most of the victims were recent Italian and Jewish immigrant women and girls, aged 14 to 23. And of the victims whose ages were known, the oldest victim was 43-year-old Provvidenza Pano, and the youngest were 14-year-olds Kate Leone and Rosaria Sarah Maltese. Now, what this story doesn't tell you is that one of the survivors was actually my great-grandmother. Now, this building has since been renovated. It's now called the Brown Building, still in Greenwich Village in Manhattan, New York. And my grandmother, her name is Lizzie Lebret. And she came to America a long time ago with not a lot of money, but just a simple spool of thread. You see, she was known as a seamstress. She repaired and did alterations on skirts and shirts. And that was her passion. And so with this introduction and the stage set, I'd like to share with you a mystery, a tribute to my great-grandmother, Lizzie Lebret, right here, right now. So if I could just squeeze out of this, there we are. And we are now back. This is the thread. A simple spool of thread. Pink spool of thread. Now, my great-grandmother Lizzie, she was a feisty character, as everybody in my family knows. And I want to do this really close for you guys. Make sure you're in speaker view so you could see this pink thread that I'm about to use. Now, she followed her passion. She came to America, like I said, with absolutely nothing. And with this thread, she manifested many miracles. Now, of course, in life, when you follow your passion, like I have, I started following my passion when I was 12 years old. And a lot of people tried to, well, cut me down. You see, in life, we go through many disappointments. We go through heartbreaks. Sometimes people tell us we're not good enough. We're never going to make enough money. That's what people told me when I was starting. They said, stop wasting your time, Sean. You're never going to be anything. I'm serious. People told me this. But because I had the passion, the perseverance, just like my great-grandmother, Lizzie Lebret, true story, I was able to do wonderful and amazing things with my career. I was able to make a lot of people happy, and still am, just like doing right here now on this lovely program. But of course, people can say things, and that deeply hurts us. Usually, for the uneducated, the ultimate disappointment is death. But as we've learned tonight by our really smart, intelligent presenters, death is just the beginning. It's the end of our journey in this material world, but the beginning of our next journey into a beautiful place. I personally, I'll be honest, I have never had a near-death experience, but learning all about it tonight, and it's incredibly fascinating. And what we can learn from these presenters is that although death can be scary, and although you can get hurt and be cut down, stressed out, just remember that this is just the beginning. You got this, guys. And when our body dies, our soul survives. And we can take this mess of stress and disease and destruction and change it, transform it into something beautiful, something amazing, just like my great-grandmother, Lizzie LeBret did. Thank you so much. I'm Sean J. I hope you guys enjoyed my little story, my tale that I've weaved right before your very eyes. Thanks to Scott and Deborah for having me back. I hope you found that educational and inspiring. Thanks so much, guys. I'm Sean J. Peace out.
Oh, thank you so much. I love how you honor your mother in a previous show, your great grandmother tonight, and thank you. That was really quite beautiful. And a reminder, everybody, you can learn all about Sean J., who has been seen on almost all the major networks and TEDx. Sean J. Magic. Now, mind you, he spells it SHAUN, SHAUNJAYMAGIC.com, SeanJMagic.com.
I'll be back on season 8 of Masters of Illusion this summer, actually. That was filmed already, so you guys are among the first to know. Catch me on the CW.
So send us the details, and we'll definitely mention it in our Global Peace Tribe Recommends the week before you air, okay?
Much appreciated, Scott. Thank you.
And if it's on August, we're going to have you on before then anyway. So if we're lucky, if we're blessed. Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much. All right. And now for our next magic act, I should say, let's see what's coming up next. Well, I'm not Deborah, but Deborah will be here with her part of the announcements in a moment. But actually, I'm going to start the announcements tonight. And I'm going to start by thanking our viewers, you guys. And again, you can still come on into the Zoom room. It's not too late. We've still got a lot of show left. We've got an amazing musician coming up. We've got more speakers. So come join us. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com and register. globalpeacetribe.com and register, because I know a lot of you are watching us right now on Unify, and Unify is one of our broadcast partners. We're really grateful to Unify. Started a little bit late on Unify today, but we do appreciate Unify very, very much, and thank you for watching us there. We also want to thank John and Summer Raymer, our friends who run the Sign Network. That's SINE. And the Sign Network helps get us out to about 100 different Facebook groups and pages. Alan Steinfeld, who was my guest on Straight Talk last night, he has the New Realities YouTube channel that always carries us. And of course, Light Touch is very, very important to us. Jay and Jan and all of our friends at Light Touch that sponsors so many of our shows. We also appreciate newearth1.com, of course, my company, Love Coach Academy, Earth Dance Global, and Sandra Ray, who I showed a little bit earlier, who passed away, one of the co-founders of Earth Dance Global. Humanities Team, Portal to Ascension, Disclosure Fest, Global Days of Unity, Earthwalk United, and Enlightened World Network. Now, Enlightened World Network is a special one because Ruth Anderson is with us tonight. And we're going to get a chance to meet Ruth a little bit later, very soon. But Ruth, thank you for joining us. And we're looking forward to learning all about the Enlightened World Network. So thank you for being with us. And thank you for carrying our shows. Really appreciate it. And as always, we want to thank Jay Mayer, our executive producer. And there he is. There's a good-looking guy. And we want to thank Tom Paladino, who is our sponsor of tonight's show. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you, Jay. And thank you, everybody who donates, who registers. We appreciate you. And here's Deborah.
Thanks, Scott. And I also want to thank you again for spreading the word about Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe. Word of mouth is golden, so please share with your friends, family, on social media and email. And I'm going to post the links where you can share our trailer video. It's really cool, and invite people to join. Also, again, this is come together as we work in high collaboration. So we invite participation with us. If you want to volunteer, I'm going to post a volunteer form. If you have special superpowers that you can help us with. If you've got social media skills with advertising and posting, we're looking for someone to help us get the word out all around the world through social media. And also we're always looking for sponsors that are in alignment where we can help promote what they do and they support Saturday Night Alive continuing. I'm going to post links in the chat room for that. And again, we appreciate your green love with our GoFundMe. Especially if you're watching this for free and you'd love to have us continue and go into the future, just go to our GoFundMe at Global Peace Tribe and you'll find us, and also promote that, post that in the chat room. We really appreciate your donations. We use them to produce incredible shows and give them right back at you. And it looks like we're going to continue into the summer and continuing, and that's because of your support. So thank you so much. So I'll post all that in the chat rooms, on our Facebook pages, and thank you and much, much love. And now we are going to have another incredible speaker on near-death experience. And she is also a New York Times bestseller. Anita Moorjani is the author of Dying to Be Me. And she has other books, What If This Is Heaven, Love a Story, Who Are You? And she has a remarkable story. After a 4-year battle with cancer, Anita fell into a coma and was given only days to live. As her doctors began to revive her, she was given the choice. She journeyed into a near-death experience where she was given the choice to return to a physical form or continue into the new realm. And at that point, she did choose the former. She chose to come back. And when she regained consciousness, her cancer began to heal. And this was to the amazement of her doctors, and she was free of countless tumors and cancers and indicators. So Anita couldn't be with us tonight, but she really wanted to give her wisdom and her transmission of this really important topic with us. So we're going to show a video that was taped earlier today of Anita, especially for you.
Welcome, Anita. We are so grateful to have you on Saturday Night Alive. And please tell us your story.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. And, you know, I want to start my story from before I had the near-death experience and just tell you a little bit about the kind of person I was. I was somebody who was, I would say I was a people pleaser to the point of being a doormat. And I was someone who gave and gave of myself and didn't know how to receive. I was always there for everybody except me. And I believed that it was better to give than to receive. And so I never allowed myself to receive, but whereas I was always giving and giving of myself, I did not love myself. I did not feel I was worthy or deserving of anything good happening to me. A lot of it was because of my childhood, and I grew up in a multicultural society, but I was always different. I looked different. I was a different race. And so I was bullied as a youngster. And because of my culture, my parents' culture, I wasn't always allowed to do the things or go out with the other kids. And my parents were somewhat strict. And so that really opened me up to being bullied. And that set the stage for me to have really, really low self-esteem and feel that I was worthless. And because of this, and because I wanted to be liked so badly, I would always bend myself out of shape just to please other people. And I was like a chameleon. I would become whoever I was around just to win their approval. It became so important to me to win people's approval. And I believe I actually tired myself out to the point that I made myself sick. And in fact, 2 years before I got sick, I was diagnosed with cancer, but 2 years before that, my best friend was diagnosed with cancer. And she was told that she was going to die, and that she was given a length of time that she was going to live, and she was told there was a 95% chance she was going to die. And I was the kind of person that just threw myself into being with her and helping her through this. And I neglected my own life. Like, even when I was getting wake-up calls and my health was deteriorating, I kept thinking, oh, what I'm going through is nothing compared to what she's going through, because I never valued myself. And then one day I found a lump on my neck, and I went to the doctor and I got a cancer diagnosis. And even though it filled me with fear, there was a part of me that actually felt, now I get to take care of myself. You see, I devalued myself so much that I needed an excuse or a reason to take care of myself. And so as I dealt with my own diagnosis, I found, though, that over the years, over a period of 4 years, my health did continue to deteriorate, because even while I was going through my illness, I was still worrying about other people more than I was about myself. When people, even as my health deteriorated and people would come and visit me, I would be worried about looking after them. And I didn't want anyone to go out of their way I didn't want them to go to any trouble to come and help me with my illness. And then I reached the point where my health was so bad that my body stopped absorbing nutrition, and I lost so much weight. I had tumors. So basically, the cancer I had was lymphoma, and it had spread to the point that I had tumors, some of them the size of golf balls, that were from the base of my skull all around my neck, under my arms, and into my chest, all the way down to my abdomen. My lungs had filled with fluid. My body stopped absorbing nutrition. I weighed about 85 pounds. I couldn't walk. And on February the 2nd, 2006, I went into a coma because now my organs had shut down. And the doctors told my family, excuse me, that these were my final hours and that I wasn't even going to make it through the night. But unbeknownst to everybody around me, I had left my body. And oh my God, I felt amazing. I felt free. I felt so expansive and liberated. All the pain was gone. The discomfort was gone. And the fear was gone. For the first time in my life, for the first time as far back as I could remember, the fear of the illness, the fear of disapproval, the fear of death, every kind of fear was gone. I felt incredible and I felt powerful. I realized I was more powerful than I had ever been led to believe. But the other piece was that even though I was aware that my body was lying there and dying, and I seemed to understand why I had got the cancer, and I was aware of my family around me, and I could see, hear, and feel everything that was happening. But I felt like I was bathing in this feeling or this field of pure, unconditional love, just pure love. Like I didn't have to do anything to be worthy or deserve. I deserved this love just because I existed. And it's the first time I ever felt that way. It was so unconditional. I felt like I was surrounded by other beings who were, some of them I recognized from this life, but most of them I didn't recognize from this lifetime. But they loved me unconditionally. And I didn't even have to do anything to win their approval. I mean, this love was so unconditional. It wasn't like I was being judged for anything I'd done wrong. I was loved just because I existed. And every cell in my body, my physical body that was lying there was also just filled with this love. And here I was from above looking down at this body and looking at my family. And all I felt for everyone and everything was just love and compassion. If I could only explain to you what this feeling was like, because people ask me, or people say, there's judgment on that side when we cross over. But what I say is there isn't. We don't get judged. That feeling of love is so big and strong and deep. It makes me emotional to even think about it. It's like even if you, in that state, even if you were to encounter somebody who is a murderer, like the worst kind of person, you would actually feel compassion for that murderer. You would feel compassion for the fact that their life had led them to being a murderer. Like they must have lived a life that was so horrendous that it led them to becoming a murderer, where you just want to fill even that murderer with love so that they know what it feels like to be filled with love, so that they never need to do things like that again. That's what it feels like. You don't want to judge them. You want to fill them with love so that they never need to do acts like that again. That's how powerful that love was. It was just amazing. And I found that I reached a point where I was given a choice of whether to come back or not. I came back because I realized my purpose wasn't over. And when I came back, the cancer healed. My tumors melted away over the coming weeks. And I have been living my life cancer-free ever since. And that was in February 2006. And it has impacted my life so much in that now I know that every single one of us is a divine being. We are an expression of the source. And so I love myself dearly because I see that by loving ourselves, we become an expression of love. And how can you not love yourself and see yourself as worthy? Once you realize that you are an expression of God, or you are an expression of the divine, you are the divine expressing itself through you, how can you not love yourself? Because when you don't love yourself, you're denying source or God from expressing itself through you. So now I tend to live my life more fearlessly, and I go around sharing this message with everyone because I want them to know this. I want them to lose their fear of death and lose their fear of life. That's what I feel my purpose is. And that's how I've been living.
It's an amazing story. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so it was really a joy to meet her. Just a beautiful, beautiful soul. And when we did our pre-record, she just is beaming with love. And what I appreciate about her story is her human experience, that insecurity, that people pleasing, that, being constantly judged, and to experience just that unconditional love that exists on the other side. Very, very, very inspiring. A few things that I want to share that she asked us to share for her. Um, you know, her book, or her newest book, is called Sensitive is the New Strong. And I'm going to take you to where you can buy it in a moment. But I like her quote. She asked me to read this. How do you charge your batteries to keep your light shining? You do things every day that nourish and feed your soul, and in whatever way is meaningful for you. It's not what you do, it's what that activity does for you. Everything that nourishes your soul and recharges your light is a spiritual activity. You know, my mentor was Marshall Rosenberg, and he used to teach that the greatest joy in life is contributing to the well-being of others. And I believe that to be so. Uh, so here is her new book, and it's called Sensitive is the New Strong. You can go to Amazon to purchase it. I know that Deborah is putting everything into the links in for us, and I'll show you a little bit larger version of the book. Here we go. And we always want to encourage you, please, our speakers, our musicians, they dedicate so much to make this show happen, to contribute their time. So buy the books, buy the music. Please support the people that we have on our show. It's really, really important. And along those lines, I'm really grateful to introduce an amazing musician. He was on our show once before. And when we were thinking about who we wanted to have on, I thought he would really be the right guy. So I reached out, and to our very much gratitude, SriKala has agreed to come back onto the show again. So I'm going to the spotlight on you, SriKala.
Yes, yes. Blessings, blessings.
Blessings. Thank you so much for being with us. And I do want to tell people briefly a little bit about you. And of course, we'll let people know how to get more afterwards. SriKala is up here. There he is. Got his name after living as a celibate monk for 7 years in the Bhakti tradition, the science of self-realization. He has almost 2 decades of inner searching, and he's collected these unique tools for his journey. SriKala has a deep connection to the oscillations of sound vibration, either through mantra music meditation and also through sound healing frequencies. Through his studies and devotion to understanding sound healing, he's developed the ability to hear and feel energy frequencies on the very subtle platform, and he recreates them with his voice to promote healing for the mind and the body. Isn't that perfect for tonight? As a songwriter and musician, SriKala sees art as a way to collect the fragmented parts of the self and bring them into creative expression for the healing of the individual and also for us, the audience. So with no further ado, take it away, SriKala.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. In this tradition of bhakti that Scott just brought up, there's this understanding from this tradition that I love so much and that has given me so much strength. This is union and separation. That the divine exists very strongly in both. There's the oneness that you can latch onto, and then there's the separation and that the absence of God or the loss or when something is taken away. And the beauty of both sides of these, this is the beauty of the connection between death and birth, union and separation. So I'm honored to be here to talk about this topic because it's a beautiful topic, and it is not always a popular topic, but is one of the most brilliant things to bring into a conversation because it's one of the most realist things that exists in our lives right now. And so union and separation. I'm gonna take a journey of sound, improvised, spontaneous. We're gonna see where this journey of union and separation, death and rebirth takes us. And we'll see what unfolds. Union and separation. From death comes birth. To honor death, the separation, the ending, is to connect to the fabric of life. As praise is a part of the fabric of life, the joy, the excitement, the hell yeah, the yes, I love that I'm getting everything, that everything is coming in, is closer. To grieve, to feel the loss, to feel the pain, to feel the loneliness, to feel the sadness. To hold that and actually take that expression all the way to the core of what it is also the fabric of life, grief and praise. He arrived from the womb. For some years, he was held close. Come in here. Come in, let me hold you, let me protect you. Until it was time for the next initiation to arrive. The people in the town cried to see their young one into the forest with nothing but his hands holding up his undies. Some stood with faith in his ability. You know, like, he's got this. He's got this. We taught him well. He's learned the sciences. Others, they still took time to say goodbye, as if he would disappear forever into the shade of the trees, never to be seen again. To honor this, they sat around the altar and they sang songs to bless his journey. May you be blessed. May you come back with life, where you become back renewed, shaking with fear, not knowing what would be next, but holding true to the faith of success, that the transition would be necessary. They celebrated when he came back with lion skin hung over his shoulder. For he was born anew, and something did die. Something was left behind in the forest that day. He looked at his hand. What is this? The blood pumping through his skin, the lines on his palms that told a new story. The body is temporary. The soul is eternal. The expression of grief is the fabric of life. From birth comes death, from death comes birth. And to end this story, we notice how in this world, especially in America, we find these transitions are not fully honored. We don't get to experience the small deaths in the spaces of life to prepare us for the biggest transition. But we can right now, right here in this moment, use art. Just like Kristin was talking about how she uses art to reconnect to these parts of ourselves, and how all of the speakers are giving us a glimpse of how death, how grief, how honoring it, that is the fabric of life. And so I'll make this final tone to honor the grief that exists within me, the grief that exists within the room, the grief that exists within the entire world. And for the 30 seconds of this, allow yourself to listen to this and even make a sound also with this. You can also sound with this. And surrender into the sound of this. Frequency of grief. The fabric of life. The fabric of life. Blessings, blessings. It's great to circle up with you once again, Scott.
Wow, SriKala, that was incredible. You know, in an evening that we're hearing people sharing these amazing journeys they took, both you and Kristin have taken us on an amazing journey tonight. And I loved your story and the fable, and that was really, really deep, very rich.
Amazing. Gets deeper and deeper. Every time someone tells a story, all of that just crashes into me, and then I take it, and then I crash it into you, and then we keep building it. We keep connecting and building it. Thank you.
The way you combine story with sound, it's my body is literally reverberating with that story, with the message, the experience. It's very, very good.
Thank you, thank you. I took this 6 minutes to 7 minutes as a challenge. I wrote that story just before I came on. Like, I literally just wrote it up. And then I created that sound right then and there for the story. I took this 7 minutes, like, okay, cool, I'm gonna make it a challenge and create something special and fast. And so, thank you.
Beautiful job. Hey, everybody, you can get more SriKala and by going to his website. It's very easy. It's his name, SriKala.com. That's SriKala.com. Now go there and go down to the very bottom first and put in your email address and subscribe, because you're going to want to be able to find out about what he's up to and learn what he can do when he's got more than 7 minutes. And then go back up here to Healer Teacher. And I'm going to go there right now and tell us a little bit about the work that you do as a healer, as a teacher, and in coaching.
Yes, yes. Well, I love the opportunity to use creativity, to use art, to use art as an avenue to access deeper parts of the self, deeper parts of different emotions that are either trapped or want to be expressed more. This is for people that are wanting to create a new artistic project, a new creative project. People that are wanting to just use art as a medicine, and as the last person that was just on, I forgot her name. The journey of being able to soften and surrender, and what that does for the health in your body is so magnificent. And so we can use art for that. We can use sound for that. We can use dancing for that. So this is what I do as a creative coach, as a producer, as an artist. It's all geared towards giving people a deeper understanding of the multifaceted dimensions of life: death, the soul, emotions, the subtle realms, the physical realms, embodiment, the ancestors. And yeah, this is what you're seeing on the site here, is state of heart. It's what I call state of heart. It's kind of a texture of what I just did, which is what I was feeling right there, right then in the moment, is what's sung, is what was offered. So.
Well, I think it's beautiful. And thank you for being on our show. I hope you come back again.
Will be an honor.
Well, great. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you
Yes,
so
yes.
much.
Blessings, blessings.
All right. And to introduce our next, or to bring Tom back on, here's Deborah.
Thank you, Scott. Yes, we get to bring on again this amazing man, Tom Paladino, who has devoted his career and actually his life to scalar light research. And he's developed scalar light instruments that can harness divine energy. And we're talking about the energy that originates from source, from sun, from stars. We're talking about chi, prana, om, mana, life force, 0 point energy. And Tom has developed scalar energy instruments that work by way of the photograph to improve your well-being. And he's also gifting Saturday Night Alive audience a 30-day free trial. So he's going to come back on again, and we're going to get to learn a bit more about this incredible healing technology.
Thanks, Deborah.
Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. And again, it's been a great evening. So thank you, everybody, for your attendance, to all the attendees throughout the world. I see people from all continents around the world. So let me start by saying, what am I working with? What have I devoted my scientific career to? It's Om, it's Chi or Prana. And there is another dimension besides that of electromagnetic energy. So I've developed these instruments that actually control Om or Prana, Chi or 0 point energy. And what I've been able to accomplish with these scientific instruments, these are custom built instruments, you cannot experience this same result with an electromagnetic instrument. Well, what's really telling is when I'm working with these instruments, I could work in a quantum dimension. Everything I do, I work with people remotely by way of a photograph. So I'm not working with the person, I'm working with your quantum field. And to those in attendance tonight, I think many of you understand what I'm getting at. It's a non-physical reality. It's consciousness. So this instrument proves the theory of consciousness. Many people say, well, that's a good theory, but is there any scientific evidence? I have that evidence. That what you're looking at is an Om instrument. It's a consciousness instrument. And I've been able to access that dimension of Om, that 0 point energy, with these types of instruments. I've devoted my life to developing these instruments. And the results that I can achieve by working with people by way of their photograph it's quite profound. So I would simply ask people, consider this. Again, this is the higher consciousness that we're all looking for. Well, I have that by way of this technology. As Deborah announced, we offer 30 days of free sessions to anybody in the world. Anybody can email us a photograph and we'll work with you free of charge. So why do we do this? Well, we want to see the world a better place. So most of our sessions we give away for free. And the model is very simple. The model is to help people. And we don't worry about money. I let God take care of that. The model is to get the technology out there and to help people. So as I mentioned earlier, this world has to be more of a cooperative world and not so much of a competitive world. And this is the world that I envision, a world that's united, a world where we help one another. This dog-eat-dog mentality cannot go on. So I, for one, I'm going to make a change in this world. And I know many of you feel exactly as I do, if not all of you. That's where I'm going with this. This is the new model. This is the new way of living. We cannot live along the lines that we're living. The socioeconomic order is crumbling before our eyes. So what I propose is a better way of living, this holistic way of living. And this technology will hopefully allow us to make that shift into that better way of living in which we all start taking care of one another. So this is the world that I envision. I think I have the technology to lead us into that type of behavior.
Beautiful. You know, I'm so appreciating, Tom, your vision. And there's the part of the vision that is practical, helping people with healing and what you've created and what you've channeled through with your scalar light technology, but also the big vision for how our new world. And that is, you know, that's why you're part of the Global Peace Tribe, because look at all the people that are on our show. They are, whether it's SriKala and Kristin, who are taking us into new ways of creating music, but so infused with heart and consciousness, whether it's our speakers tonight who, you know, have human experience and understand human experience, but have also had a very otherworldly and beyond human experience. And every week on Global Peace Tribe, we get to meet people like yourself who are helping to create the new world, who are helping to create the new paradigm. And no, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. And everybody, come on, take advantage of this wonderful offer. Deborah's put it in there. You go to sna.scalarlight.com, get your free 30 days. You know, these are all, I got this beautiful gift today from my friend Mark Sims. We've got what Tom provides us. These tools last week, Deborah Giusti was talking about the Healy, which is a wonderful way to do it. We have all these tools that are helping us to change our consciousness, to be healthier and to rise so that we truly can come into the higher vibration and can come into the frequency of higher awareness. And then in that frequency, we will create a sustainable world. And it's everything. It's the music, it's the healing devices, it's compassionate communication, it's yoga, it's all these things that help us to raise our vibration.
God bless everybody.
God bless you, Tom.
Great job.
Thank you so much.
God bless
All right.
everybody.
Talk to you soon, my friend. All right. Let's see what's next.
So with Global Peace Drive Recommends, we offer you resources and a lot of virtual conferences that are available now. As you know, a lot of the physical conferences haven't been able to happen. So a lot of people have been going virtual. So many people can enjoy these amazing conferences. And yes, there's a conference coming up on Afterlife Conference. This is the 11th annual that they've done. It's taking place June 24th through June 27th. The theme is exploring the science and the spirit of death and the beyond. Terry Daniels has been producing this conference as a live event for 11 years, and this is the first time she is going virtual. So there's a lot of prominent speakers on there. You can actually get credit for the conference for your education. There's also sacred ceremonies and guided shamanic journeying, but all kinds of experience around death and dying and near-death experience. So I'm going to post the links in the chat room where you can check it out. It's the afterlifeconference.com. So if you want to go even deeper into the subject, there it is. So thank you, Scott.
Yeah. And we're going to show a video. Many of you know our dear friend Fantuzzi. In fact, a lot of you were at the Fantuzzi concert that I hosted a couple nights ago. And while I was watching his concert, his sons came on and they played a video. It's a trailer for a movie that they made. And this movie's going to come out. It's being presented on this Monday, or I'm sorry, a week from Monday, May 3rd on PBS Worldwide. It's an online PBS channel. And I was just so impressed with what his two young men, his two sons had done, that I said, hey, we got to put this on Global Peace Tribe Recommends. So here's a 1-minute trailer, and I hope you'll enjoy it.
Mi nombre es Isnay Rodríguez, pero todos mis amigos me conocen como DJ Hiwe. En la actualidad me encuentro formando parte de ese movimiento de la música más contemporánea y más moderna en la Cuba de hoy. La necesidad de reencontrarme con mi historia, con mis raíces africanas, con mi gente, con ese sonido de la calle. Esa es la razón principal de este viaje. Santiago es el sitio más musical de Cuba. Lo que funciona ahí es casi seguro que se cante y se baile en todo el país. Por eso muchos músicos estamos siempre al tanto de lo que sucede en sus calles. La conexión de Santiago y África sigue intacta y eso que ellos le llaman Bacosó ha vuelto a colocarla en el lugar que se merece.
You know, I really want for Saturday Night Live to bring on more ethnicity, different groups, different races. And so really proud of Eli and Khalil, Fantuzzi's two boys. They've created a beautiful movie. Please watch it. That's Monday, May 3rd on PBS Worldwide. I now get to introduce you to somebody. We brought her on very briefly before. This is Ruth Anderson. And Ruth is the creator of the Enlightened World Network, which has been bringing our show out there. And Ruth, I'm going to pull up your video, or not your video, but your webpage. And I'd like to just, first of all, welcome to Saturday Night Live and tell us all about the Enlightened World Network.
Well, Enlightened World Network was a brainchild of Archangel Michael. And I haven't heard folks talking about angels here tonight, but it is part of who I connect with, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, and Divine Mother, actually. Enlightened World Network was brought to me from Archangel Michael, and he asked me to provide a platform for light workers who help to bring divine light into the world so they can build their platforms in a safe community. And so I work with light workers. We've got 60 different 60 shows that are coming on YouTube and Facebook every week, and working with light workers to help them bring their show to life, or if they want to write an article, or if they want to write a book, but really just supporting their efforts in a safe community. So it's not the folks that are polished that are on your show here tonight. It's the folks that are starting out and just getting their feet under them. And then we also provide this really safe community for folks to come in and learn from these light workers. So Enlightened World Network is all about transformation. It's all about supporting each other and nurturing that growth. So that's what Enlightened World Network is. And I'm just so honored to be bringing that into the world. So thank you.
You know, I've just pulled up the schedule just to get a sense of it. And I still see a lot of friends of ours. I mean, I recognize that some of it is, you know, new, but for example, Course in Miracles every day, Chanting for Change, angel speakers. I've had the angel speakers on one of my shows. So it's beautiful work that you're doing. Terry Angel is wonderful. And meditation excavation with Terry Angel and you, Dr. Ruth Anderson. So there's a lot of really wonderful things. So everybody, please go to Enlightened World Online, enlightenedworld.online. And to learn more about what she's doing, I just was so impressed with all the things that Ruth is up to that I invited her to be my guest tomorrow night, tomorrow night. Scott delivers the message, take two. I invited Ruth to be on my show tomorrow morning. Most of you know that I have a show that I do every Sunday morning. It's the Sacred Sunday Show. And Ruth is going to be my guest tomorrow. And that's at 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern. And you can watch on Facebook. We're on most of the channels you're seeing right now. Or you can come into our Zoom room. And we really love it when people come into the Zoom room. And tomorrow will be one of those shows where we'll interact with the people that do come into our Zoom room. We'll take your questions. And we're going to be talking about what is your personal gateway to an enlightened world. You know, clearly we're all wanting, like we've been talking about tonight, to, while we're in human bodies, have a much more enlightened world experience. So Ruth and I want to talk with all of you about that tomorrow morning. It's going to be fun.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Ruth. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. And of course, Deborah is putting into the chat box the information on that. Now there's something else that we just decided we're going to do. This is fresh out of the Saturday Night Alive Global Peace Tribe oven, if you will. Deborah, as you know, or may know, is in Sedona, Arizona. And she's there because a lot of amazing people are gathering together. There's a big extraterrestrial oriented conference happening. And so we want to invite all of you to join in. So on Monday, whoops, you put in the wrong date. It's going to be on Monday, Tuesday, May 4th. So forget that part, but it's called May the 4th Be With You. It'll be on Tuesday, May 4th. He just made this poster in time for our show tonight. And it's going to be Mark Sims and Deborah and myself. I'll be probably still in California, although I have fantasies of going to Sedona. Alan Steinfeld and many, many other friends sharing what's going on at this conference in Sedona. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And Mark is then going to lead a close encounter of the sixth kind, a CE6. He's done that a few times, and this is where people have direct and immediate connections with our galactic family. And Mark is so excited about May the 4th Be With You that he created this video just for tonight. May the 4th be with you, and may you be with us on the 4th. It's going to be Making Contact Day. It's also when Alan Steinfeld's book is officially released. And his book is called Making Contact. Many of you might have seen Alan and Daryl Anka on my show last night, Straight Talk with Trish. So join us on May 4th. It's a free event. It's a special Saturday Night Alive thing. And this is another reason why those of you who haven't registered yet, watching us on Facebook, whether you're watching live or watching the replay, this is why you want to join our Peace Tribe, why you want to give us your email address so we can send you the link for these special events that we do. They're really a lot of fun and they're increasing. And so you want to be a part of all of this. So thank you very, very much. And I am now going to play a special light touch video. And this one's really, really beautiful. So I hope you'll enjoy it. Let me just pull it up. It's one of those things where I have to show about 5 videos all at once. So it takes a little minute. Here we go. And one more time, thank you so much to Jay Mayer and to Jan and Light Touch for these wonderful videos and so much of the. I'm going to put Jay on. There he is. There's Jay. There's Jan. With Jay's always got his feather with him. Remember, it used to be have gun will travel. Now it's have feather will travel, and we are appreciating that very, very much. And we're almost done actually with tonight's show. But please stick around for our after show. We've got a beautiful video of Ben playing crystal balls, and we're going to replay what Dannion Brinkley provided in the early show in case you missed it. So thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jan. And now to say goodnight, here's Deborah.
Thank you, everyone. And again, this has been such an amazing show, such great information, so inspiring, and so much love. And we're appreciating you all. And thank you, Scott.
My pleasure. Thank you. All right. Well, with that, I am going to go right into our after show. And I think I've got a little video here. This is at the end where we have all the videos I get to play at the same time. So here we go. That was Ben Carroll, and he's he has a website. That's somebody. There's Anjay. Muted him. Here is Ben's website. It's innerselfsustained.com. Isn't that a lovely name for a website? Innerselfsustained.com. And that's where you can experience his sound healing work. You can get more of his crystal ball work. And Ben is beautiful. And you can also find out about his upcoming events. He's got a release and relax coming up on April 30th. So definitely, as always, please do support our musicians and the people that we have on the show. I am waiting for the Dannion Brinkley recording from this morning or from earlier. It seems like this morning, earlier today, the early show, to finish processing. It's the first time I've tried doing this, where I finish a show, see if the recording can come out quick enough for me to show you guys. So while we're waiting, I was exploring just now and I found a really beautiful YouTube video of Dannion talking about his health work. I've not seen this video before. It's short, but let's take a look. And then after this, and I see we've got 172 people, I would love to hear some of your experiences. I noticed in the chat box that several people talked about their near-death experiences. And so if any of you want to share your experience, pop it in the chat box. And if any of you want to actually come on and talk for a minute or two about a near-death experience you've had, put that in the chat box while we're watching the Dannion video for a few minutes. I'll maybe bring a couple of you on board. All right. So anyway, here's Dannion talking about his health work. And this was from only 5 months ago, so it's recent.
Hey everybody, I know you've been listening to me for 2 hours rant about the veteran in the world and healthcare, and for you guys who have not, you missed a really great show. But what's important about where we are now is what I call Dannion 365. After 37 years in the VA, 42 years in hospice and palliative care, I have learned how it all works. And when I look at healthcare in America and where our veterans are, in listening to the show, you see we're in a very precarious position. And if you look at where we are as a country, healthcare is going to be the biggest issue. So when I started to really look at what was happening in this time, there was a 20% increase in veteran suicides. They're walking into VAs and shooting themselves. That means there's stress among them, there's stress among their spouses and their family members. So when I started talking to a couple of corpsmen, a few Air Force guys, a couple of Army guys, and some civilians, maybe 1 or 2 Navy people, then I really got a sense that there was a sense that we had to find ways to support veterans. So we came up with Dannion 365, and we went to a series of companies, 5 or 6 telemedicine companies, because when you're in the middle of a stressful situation dealing with a veteran for various reasons, and a lot of times that reason is he hasn't been protected by the program that was designed to defend him. I'm not against the VA. I am for good quality health care for a veteran who has paid the price to have the kind of care. And the systems that are in place that tend to work against that veteran, he or she, as opposed to support them. So we came together and we found this company, 365. So here's what I am offering you. By coming a part of this program, by committing, I can take that veteran and their primary spouse and maybe 5 other people in their family member and protect them.
So I'm going to stop the video now because you got a little sense of it, but you can learn more by going to Dannion365.com, Dannion365.com. And, I really do have such respect for the great work that Dannion has done for veterans. It's really, really very, very beautiful. So thank you, Dannion. And I wasn't able to look at the chat box because I couldn't do that and have a full page. I'm checking to see if the recording is done. And it's still processing. So, Terry Russo, would you, Terry, I'm going to see if you would like to come on and be on our show because I trust you. And I did not know that you had an experience, your husband's experience. So I'm going to find you here and promote you to a panelist. Terry is one of our favorite people. She watches almost all of our shows, maybe all of them. I mean, she's also always been really wonderful about donating and supporting us in wonderful ways. So Terry, congratulations. You are, if you're in the mood, you never know. She might be in her pajamas, So Terry, if you don't want to come on, you don't need to, but if you're in the mood, I have promoted you to panelist. Oh, I brought up the wrong Terry. Sorry. Let's do Terry Russo and Terry Pucci. Sorry about that. I haven't been drinking, just so you know. This is
hello. Sorry. I'm outside looking at the stars.
Well, that's pretty cool, Terry. I was just looking at some of the people in the chat box who had said that they wanted to, possibly participate. And I saw your name and I saw a little bit about your story, and that would be pretty cool. Bonnie's asking about info about Ben Carroll. Yeah, let me do that real quickly. Ben Carroll's website is right here. It's innerselfsustained.com. And it just put that in the chat box. Ben Carroll's website.
It's actually in there, Scott. I just put it in there to save you a minute.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Jan.
Okay.
Yay. Terry, are you in a space where you want to tell your story? Is that a possibility?
I don't know much of a story I have. It's my husband. He's had quite a few near-death experiences. I was there for 2 of them, but I'm not sure exactly what you want me to tell you, but it was pretty profound, especially if you talk to him. He can tell you like the things he saw and his experiences once he was crossing over. But being on the earth side, of course, I couldn't see and hear those things. But he talked about kind of what a lot of people say, like a profound source of love, unconditional love. Although the one time when he was kind of like in a coma for a while, he remembers a life review, and he said that was intense. Even though he felt that he wasn't being judged, he was judging himself. And I guess you see many different perspectives of how your life affects everybody else. So it's like that ripple effect. And he said that whatever beings were talking to him, they said that you did well. Most people are bawling, crying when they see their life in review. So, it's really changed his life for the better since coming back. He really appreciates life and is very grateful. So it was pretty intense. And as a nurse practitioner, I've seen a lot of patients die and come back. So I could, but that would take too long to go into all those stories. So I do know that there's something once we die. I have no fear of death. But it's nice to enjoy it while we're here.
Yeah. One last question for you, and then I'll bring up somebody else. So perhaps seen a lot of people die and come back. Is there a consistent message that you've heard?
The ones that come back, well, it's kind of interesting. The ones that come back, because at first, people will say, oh, well, they were just imagining that or whatever, but they said very specific things that happened while they were dead, while they were flatlined, that we said or did in the room. So I know that they really were there. It's kind of hard to explain. Picture you're in an emergency room and you're trying to do a code, and there's no brain waves, there's no heart on waves on the EKG, and you're saying and doing things while you're dealing with trying to bring somebody back that they can't hear because they're dead, and then they come back and tell you exactly what happened, so it's real. It wasn't like it was 3 days later, but they all kind of say the same thing, that the ones that are gone for a short time don't have as much of an experience, but none of them want to come back. They want to stay, and somebody makes them come back, or a group of beings kind of say, like, it's not your time yet, you're not done. And most of them don't want to come back. That's pretty much loud and clear. So obviously wherever they are is a lot more fun. And, they all say the same thing. It's like this unconditional love, and there's no worry. And like anything that's happened in their life doesn't matter anymore. It's not like they're being judged or forgiven. It's like everything's okay. It's really strange, and they have a profound sense of peace. And usually when they come back, they're really happy and they have no more worries or fear of death. So it's pretty cool.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you, Terry. Thank you for joining us. And all right, I'm going to answer the question about May 4th. So there's a big UFO conference happening right now this weekend. And of course, that's going to be over tomorrow. But then a lot of the people are staying. And starting on Sunday, May 2nd, there's going to be a series of events that Alan Steinfeld, JJ and Alan Hertog, Mark Sims are all doing. And it's going to include a CE6 on Sunday night. I don't know what's happening on Monday, May 3rd, but then on Tuesday, May 4th, Saturday Night Live is going to do a special event live, and that will also include a CE6 with Mark Sims. So basically just kind of get to Sedona and find a place to stay. And I would say if you're going to go all the way out there, get there by Sunday. And we're calling it May the 4th be with you. I will pull up this poster that we had made at the last minute. The date is wrong, but so forget Monday, April 26th, change that to May 4th. But it's gonna be a lot of fun. And you can register just right there. I'll put the link in, or I think Jan did that. I think Jan's put the link in. Or if you register for Global Peace Tribe, then we'll send out an email with the link as well. So yeah, and I keep checking, and they're still processing the recordings. This was an experiment. I didn't know if I could pull it off. Honestly, we're still making this show up all the time. The after show is an idea. We're trying to keep the main show to 2.5 hours. So bear with us as we try different things. I do appreciate that some of you are mentioning about other wonderful authors. Deborah Haviland is talking about Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who does do fantastic work. Highly recommend her work. So thank you for that. And a reminder, of course, Raymond Moody is someone that Dannion Brinkley spoke about. And this was a successful show. We had a good turnout for it. So I think there's a good chance we'll do another one sometime, and we'll have Raymond Moody on. He was interested, but we weren't able to work out the timing. Okay, here's somebody who had a near-death experience. Lori Twilight. Well, isn't that a perfect name? Lori writes, hi, I had a near-death experience when I was 17, and I didn't want to be gay. I was in Buffalo, New York, and there was no support for gays or lesbians at the time. It was a shameful thing in the early 70s. I swallowed a bottle of sleeping pills, about 43, but something told me to leave 7. I was flying and a spirit stopped me and told me I was at a point of no return. They told me I would have to return if I left and to do my life all over again. I said, shit. Hope you don't mind me acting this out a little bit. But they told me I would have help if I went back. And they also showed me what I would do for my livelihood. They showed me astrology and theories and so much more. I did become a psychological astrologer, and it's now been 45 years. I love my work, and I got a master's in transpersonal psychology so I could help others even more by combining these fields. That's a beautiful story. So, Lori, let me know if you'd like me to bring you on, because if you'd like to come on, if you're dressed and ready to go, I'm not going to bring somebody on now without checking first. Let me know and I'll bring you on. I think that's a really wonderful, wonderful story. And you know, we have come a long way. I was visiting my good friend Jonathan Robinson this week, and we were talking about how far gay and lesbian rights have come. And he was telling me he has a nephew who's gay, who just graduated from high school. And he was chatting with his friend, his nephew, and he said, "So how is it in high school? Do you get teased a lot?" And the kid goes, "What do you mean?" So he goes, "Well, you know, being gay, coming out as gay, did they give you a hard time?" Why would they give me a hard time? And so I realized, oh my God, at least in his school, you know, being gay was not an issue. And that's a big shift from where, certainly where Lori Twilight was when she grew up, and certainly where some of us are a little bit older. So Lori does want to come on. I am promoting her. We're a panelist. So welcome aboard, Lori. We'll see you in a moment. And we have a long ways to go. Obviously, we still have a long ways to go and there she is. Hey, Lori. I need you to unmute. You're still muted, dear. Lower left-hand corner. There you are. Hi.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm happy to share my story for two reasons: to help people who think they can't survive, or things are so bad that they want to kill themselves, as I did when I was 17, because I couldn't conceive of a life being gay, and I knew I was gay at that time. And anyway, it was actually kind of a beautiful experience, because I felt like I was flying and I was free and I loved it. And then I was like, I hit a wall, and a spirit came to me and told me I was at a point of no return, which really, and I would have to go back and do it again if I left. So that's why I was very upset. I was like, I don't want to do this again. And they said, I'll help you. And they showed me some beautiful things, and that I would be an astrologer. So, and I have been, started studying it, and I became an astrologer at 21 and been doing it ever since. So this is my total work and my dedication to healing people. Anyway, I'm doing a lot of talking here, so.
You're doing great. You're really doing great. And I'll come back on so you don't feel all alone. It's a beautiful story. And I'm glad you came back. And it sounds like you're glad you came back too.
So am I. I'm very happy that I came back. And yeah, I love what I do. And they told me they would help if I needed help. And so, yeah. And I could kind of see the spirit. I could see a silhouette of the spirit. I think it may have been my grandfather, but I'm not totally sure. So.
Wow. And have you had increased ability to connect with the angelic realm or guides, you know, as you continued your life?
Well, I have a great amount of intuition. I do have things come to me. Many people say I'm psychic. I have my own system in my work, which I believe probably came from showing me these things when I was just 17, almost 18. Yeah. So yeah, I get very connected. I go to other realms when I'm doing my work, and people are thrilled, and people have been calling me a master lately, and I've been getting letters about how I've saved people. And I try to talk to young people as well, older people, younger people, really young people. I work with some people's children. I mean, yeah. So I feel guided when I'm doing that work, and it's a powerful thing, and that changed my life. Yeah, very
Lori,
much.
that's wonderful. Well, I acknowledge you as a master. And
Oh,
we, and even things we're masterful at, Jay is masterful at light touch. I'm pretty masterful at compassionate communication, but that doesn't mean we aren't still learning, right?
Oh,
They
indeed.
say 10,000 hours of practice to be masterful at something.
Uh-huh.
I'll tell one last story about that. Tomorrow night is the Oscars, and this is actually an Academy Award story. Japan's greatest filmmaker, Kurosawa, was given an honorary Oscar, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And I remember Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, who both had been influenced by him, gave him the honorary Oscar, and he was 80 years old. And here he is, it's like this incredible moment. He's receiving his Oscar. And he very humbly says, I have been making movies for over 50 years, and I truly believe I'm just beginning to learn how to really do it.
Well, that's true. We all have a lot to learn. I'm always learning, and I have studied Marshall Rosenberg also. So, yes.
Yeah, I had the good fortune to travel with Marshall for 3 weeks, traveled and filmed him as he taught, and we became quite good friends and stayed in connection until he passed away. He passed away maybe, oh gosh, probably 6 years ago now. So something like that. Anyway, thank you, Lori. God bless you. I'm
Thank
going
you.
to put you back in the attendee area, but people are asking for how to contact you, so you can do that if you wish. Let people know how to contact you. Noel writes, this has been such a great show with the full moon in Scorpio and Pluto going retrograde, a time for transition. Yes, and to speak and think about transition. It worked out well. So my little experiment of stopping and starting and hoping that I'd then be able to get my recordings, it is not working out, you guys. It's still processing recording when I go to my Zoom recordings room. So I'm noticing a lot of people got to go to bed. I haven't had dinner. So I will just, what we will do is I see Jan Kaplan has her hand up. So
Oh.
Jan.
Just asking for some people in the chat room who are asking maybe the pre-show can be put into the email that's going to go out so everybody will get a copy of that, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what we'll do.
Okay.
You read my mind because that's what I was going to announce.
Okay.
So thank you. Thank you. Let's all twinkle Jan. She is going to be the co-host and she's the producer for next week's show. Tell us about it again, Indigenous Elders. What are you most excited about for next week, Jan?
Well, I'm really excited. Janice Hall, one of our people in the audience, came forth and said, I know some Indigenous people in Australia, and Joanne Shenandoah said to me, oh my gosh, I know this great grandmother and she's in New Zealand. And then it turns out Chief Phil Lane works with Uncle Lewis from Australia. And so there's been a lot of collaboration with some of these people that we didn't even know about. And so Uncle Lewis Walker is an Aboriginal water keeper. So it turns out that a lot of the people are working to preserve and protect rivers and waterways. So anyways, they're somehow all connecting together. And so I'm really excited that, we're going to be able to have them on our show, and, they'll be able to share their wisdom. And Sergio Magana, Toltec wisdom keeper, he's in Mexico City. Grandmother Flor de Mayo's in New Mexico. Chief Phil Lane's in Canada. Anyway, so we'll be working across the globe next week. It'll be an amazing show. So I'm very excited.
What? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video that you and Jay created one more time. That'll be a good way to close out our show.
Sure, why not? Thank you.
Here is the promo video for next week's show. Let me just get ready.
Thank
to
you
play
guys for coming.
some of the little spontaneous Scott ideas. Here we go. Oh, and you know what? Let me make sure that it's optimized. I made that mistake more than once tonight. There we go.
Light Touch welcomes you to next week's Saturday Night Alive. May 1st, Indigenous Wisdom Rising, connection and collaboration across the globe. Returning Luminary, Chief Phil Lane Jr., and Grandmother Flor de Mayo, a Mayan seed keeper. Sergio Magana, a Toltec wisdom keeper. And great-grandmother Moetu Teha from New Zealand. And featuring Uncle Lewis Walker from Australia. Dr. Anne Polina, a water keeper from Australia. We're proud to welcome back Pura Fay, Native American activist and award-winning musician, and Sister Stone, an Indigenous rights activist. Join us on May 1st when we travel across the globe for our 5th Indigenous Wisdom Show.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jay and Jan, for putting together that video, for Jay sponsoring the show, Jan putting it together. It's really going to be a wonderful, wonderful show.
Thank you so
And
much.
a very, very final reminder to everybody, please join us tomorrow morning for our Sacred Sunday show. And let me pull up that poster one more time. And when I do a Sacred Sunday show like tomorrow, it's going to be very interactive. So definitely come into the Zoom room. Let me pull this up. Here we go. And again, it'll be with Ruth Anderson. I'm just getting to know her actually, but she's doing wonderful, wonderful work. So join us tomorrow. I just put into the chat box the Zoom room. Join us, or of course you can watch live on Facebook. All right, it is time for me to get some dinner, and for many of you to get some rest. Thank you for joining us. And it is really cool that we still have 128 people, all these wonderful global peace tribers. Amazing. Good night, everybody. God bless you. And remember, you can make any day, any moment sacred by seeing the divinity. May we see the divinity in all, starting with when you look in the mirror. Good night, everybody.